Red Line. Since Marie Joyce disappeared, it has become a land of no one. Everyone wants to occupy the center of this world, but not everyone has the courage and strength to control it. To this day, this piece of red land that celestial dragons have ruled for 800 years has ushered in a new owner. Miller landed on Red Line with a group of people. And the base camp of the New World government has also moved to Red Line. The Five Elders system was abolished, and 2 directors were responsible for running this huge organization, Neptune and Cobra. For the military, Shiryu and Enel are in charge. Miller has taken enough care of Neptune, his father-in-law. Didn't the Fishmen Island always want to live in the sun? Miller divides an area directly from Red Line to the Fishmen Island. And in the future World Summit, the Fishmen Island can also participate as usual, and the discrimination against the Fishmen Island and various trafficking and slavery systems are all cancelled. Neptune was grateful, and his deceased wife, Princess Otahime, knew, and Izumi would smile happily. The Red Line incident soon spread to the world, and the world talked a lot about it, but they only dared to speak quickly. Among them, Marine called the most fierce one, but they didn't see them sending troops to attack Red Line. Marine, led by Akainu, is currently very embarrassed. The franchise is gone, and Marine has no financial resources. The warship cannot be built, and one ship will be lost if it sinks. It can't even pay the soldiers' salaries. The most deceptive thing is that some bounty hunters take the head of the pirate to lead the reward, and the Marines in some places have no money to pay. In Marshal Marine's office, Marine executives sat on the sofa with sad faces. Akainu stared at a map blankly. If he looked closely, the hair on both sides of his temples was all white. This period of time is probably the most tormented in his life. Not to mention the bloody battle with the pirates under his leadership, F*K can't even pay his salary right now. Marine elites all over the world are clinking poorly. Is this fate, or am I cursed? Why is it always so unlucky? Akainu's figure was particularly bleak. He had also thought about the scene of the battle with Miller. It must have been an earth-shattering super battle. Maybe he would lose to Miller because of his lack of strength. If that day does come, Akainu can face it calmly and go to death lightly. But God made a big joke with Akainu. He didn't lose to Miller, but to money. In the past, he also wanted to get rid of the control of the world government, hoping that Marine will become an independent department that can carry out his justice without being affected. It is too naive to think about it now. Without the support of the world government, Marine would fall apart in a short time. Sakazuki, can't even the old man's salary be paid now? Kizaru looked bitter. If the old man, Marine Admiral, can't eat enough, you can think about how pitiful other people are. Now they are not energetic in doing anything, and the salary is not enough. In place, let alone arrest the pirates, I don't have the strength to speak. Shut up. Paluzolino, is wages more important than mission in your eyes? Akainu didn't get angry, and the others were fine. Why is the Marine Admiral, Kizaru, so superficial?
It's a fact. When I wake up every day, it costs more than 100,000 people. Without the help of the world government, Marine will take the lead to support them.
Fujitora's words were much more unpleasant and straightforward, and continued to add, without the support of military expenses, Marine was clanging poor from top to bottom. Some people fled. Our warships couldn't move. They lay rusty in various military ports, lying down. Even artillery shells and bullets, everyone dare not waste now, because our supplies are not replenished by the logistics department. It's not a problem to continue like this. I suggest disarmament as soon as possible. This is the only way Fujitora can think of. It is unbelievable, but the truth is that it is impossible for Marine to survive alone after leaving the world government. Those people just escaped. Marine doesn't need deserters who are not firm. Akainu looked indifferent, and running some people could save a lot of money. As for disarmament, originally, the strength is not as good as Miller. If the disarmament is still done, how will we fight in the future? Surrender as soon as possible. 1 day, 2 days, and 3 days, more and more soldiers left the Marine. If this continues, the Marine will collapse on a large scale sooner or later. However, Akainu and others have no choice. Marine's daily expenditure is astronomical. In addition, it also needs to repair various battleship cannons, which requires too much money. A penny can hardly die a hero, and now Akainu truly understands this. The City of Gods on the Red Line is under construction. The castles rising from the ground are spectacular. The Miller Pirates has invested a lot of manpower, material and financial resources, and the base camp of the New World government has improved slightly. Inside the magnificent palace, Master Miller, 5 more members of the world government joined us yesterday. On the throne, Miller lay comfortably, and below were Cobra and Neptune who came to report. Days like this are very comfortable, and all trivial matters are left to the team of Neptune and Cobra, and Miller is responsible for listening to politics every day. Miller is a lazy person. This kind of day is very leisurely, he likes it. There are now 45 countries in the franchise, Neptune added. No, 46 to be exact. Miller said lazily. Boa Hancock called me, and her Hydra Island is also willing to join the new World Government Alliance. Cobra and Neptune looked at each other, and clasped their fists to congratulate them. Congratulations, Lord Miller. By the way, there are other things. Neptune looked up and said, Cake Island is very sorry about Punk Hazard. The ant claimed that Beast's pirates deceived her. In order to express their apologies, the ant sent Charlotte Smoky and Charlotte Pudding to talk to Master Miller. Marriage. Hearing this, Miller touched his chin and murmured, Is the woman so generous? I sent them two at once, and I'm not afraid that my body can't bear it. Cobra and Neptune looked at each other, then cried and laughed again and again. In addition to being the chairman of the New World Government, they are also Miller's father-in-law. But for this kind of thing, they can only open one eye and close one eye. This is Miller's private matter, and they have no right to interfere. Bring people over to me to see. Miller grinds his fists and is quite satisfied with the two of them. Most of the ant's children are oddly shaped crooked melons. Pudding and Smoky are fairly normal. Miller can be regarded as feeling the sincerity of the ant. It's just that his mother-in-law is not so good. After 10 minutes, Smoky and he was sent over. Both women's faces were full of fear, and no one knew Miller's fierce reputation. And this guy mainly has a grudge against the Big Mom pirate group. If you vent your anger on both of them, you will be frustrated even thinking about it. Master Miller. Smoky and Pudding knelt down together, especially Smoky, the core cadre who offered a reward of 932 million Baileys, did not dare to breathe. In addition to the ant and Kata Curry, the one with the highest reward is Smoky. Even so, it was not given to Miller as a prop. Speaking of the dessert star, it is pitiful. Kata Curry was killed by Miller and Cracker was also killed by Miller. Smoky gave it to Miller, and also brought a pudding. In front of Miller, the Big Mom pirates really had no cards at all. Get up. Miller stood high on the throne, looking down at the two of them. They all look good. Looking across the two of them separately, Miller nodded slightly and said, Even so, that stinky lady's alliance with Kaido to do me, I can't just let it go. Master Miller, there is actually another secret in this matter, not what you think. Pudding took a step forward, remembering the ant's confession before she left. It was roughly to get rid of the charges for the Big Mom pirate group and throw the pot to Beast's pirates. Master Miller, although we are from the Big Mom pirate group, please rest assured that we will not intercede for the family, please do business. Before Pudding could continue to speak, Smoky at the side spoke up. She is different from Pudding. She hates her aunt in her heart. She has been born and died for the Big Mom pirates for so many years. There is hard work without credit, right? Right now the aunt just gave her as a gift to Miller in a hurry. Didn't this push Smoky into the fire pit? In this case. She still has concerns. Why should she plead for the aunt? Why should she say good things for the Big Mom pirate group? Sister Smoky. Pudding covered her mouth in surprise and looked at her in disbelief. Pudding, we will be members of the Miller pirates from now on. Do you still think about that old woman? Smoky asked with a hateful expression on his face. Ha ha ha. This is because of love, hate, right? Interesting. It's no surprise that Miller saw this. In fact, there are so many examples of this kind. Think about it, Pudding. What is the use of loyalty to a family that has abandoned us? We are nothing more than props in the eyes of our mother. No matter what happens to you, I hate my mother anyway. I will never be loyal to the Big Mom pirate group in the future. Smoky gritted his teeth. Pudding lowered his head when he heard the words. He was in a state of confusion at the moment and should not make a choice. You're great. Miller grabbed it with a big hand, and the force of gravity was released. He grabbed Smoggy's tall body and sat it on his lap. Don't let me down in the future, Smoggy. Don't look at Miller's seriousness. In fact, his salty pigsman has already taken action. Sure. Smoky nodded tremblingly, and forced a smile on his face. Miller was very satisfied. Don't look at the woman's fierceness, but her skin was unexpectedly smooth. Your sister obviously doesn't have the consciousness of yours. I hope you will enlighten her well in the future. Miller rubbed Smoky's long hair lightly and said. Give me a week, and I promise to give Master Miller a satisfactory pudding. Smokey promised quickly. Ha ha ha. This is the best way. Miller stretched when she heard the words, she patted Smokey's back, and the chick stood up immediately. I'll go back to sleep first, tonight. Where am I going? Come find me. Miller winked at Smokey. I understand. Although Smokey was a little embarrassed, she still agreed. She understood what Miller meant. In the evening, Smokey came to the appointment. She even dressed up specially. She used to be a combat suit, but tonight, she changed into a bikini that is easy to highlight her figure. If someone like Smokey is determined to be loyal to Miller, then it must be deadly loyal. If Miller gets tired of her, then he will be no longer human. Smokey decided to hug Miller's thigh tightly at all costs. She can sit back and relax only by following Miller all the time. In the middle of the night, the spacious bed. Smokey was sleeping next to Miller. She looked at the man close at hand, her eyes a little complicated. Of course, it only disappeared in an instant. Master Miller, there are some things that I can't talk about during the day. Now I can talk freely. The drowsy Miller opened his eyes and glanced at Smokey very strangely. This woman who had just been petted by herself seemed to talk a lot. Okay. Just tell me, I'll just listen. Miller opened his eyes. Do you know why your mother has been pursuing the skills of the Vinsmoke family? Smokey asked. I asked Judge, and his answer was the descent factor. This technology is very magical. Not only can the man-made devil fruit be studied, but even the clones of the Vinsmoke family are based on it. This also includes the ant's obsessive human giantization technology. Miller said, Kaido intends to build an army of capable people, and the ant seems to want to build an army of giants. Their thoughts are a bit naive. Even without my process of breaking history, the Giant Legion and the Artificial Devil Fruit Legion would not be able to take the world. Miller said with great certainty, he knew the strength of celestial dragons. Mom wants to build a giant pirate group, but this is not her original intention, or that her real ambition is not this. Smokey's cheeks were very solemn. What does the ant want to do? Miller was also curious. My mother actually wants to make herself huge, hoping to gain power to surpass the 4 emperors by changing her body shape. Smokey said the final secret of the ant. Miller froze for a moment. This woman is already CM. If this is huge, how strong her physique should be. To say nothing, it will take 50 or 60 meters, and it is not impossible to even break through 100 meters. She still has such thoughts. It seems that I have missed it. Strength is the right way to cultivate. If you take a shortcut like the ant, it will only end in vain. Miller preached like a master, which made Smokey on the side speechless. Is he qualified to criticize the ant? Isn't it Miller who takes the most shortcuts? Miller relied on the system and unscrupulously copied the ability of others. He had never really practiced. In the past few months, he has either copied his ability or is on the way to pick up girls. It was a shortcut to become a winner in life. Master Miller, once Mom succeeds, she will definitely not spare you. Smokey said fiercely, if Master Miller plans to destroy the Big Mom pirate group now, I will definitely not stop it. Do you hate her so much? Miller asked. The depth of love, the depth of hatred. Smokey was full of hatred. It's only a matter of time to attack the ant. The New World government is getting fuller. When we wait for all the franchising countries to support us, the end of all the pirates on the sea will come. Miller said unhurriedly. The New World government was established. Even though Miller was born as a pirate, his stance against the pirate has not changed, resolutely eliminated. Frankly speaking, the pirates are indeed a group of uninfluenced people. They kill people and set fire without any scruples. There are too many countries and towns destroyed by the pirates. There is nothing this group of desperados dare not do. There are very few pirates like Luffy. Even Roger, one of the greatest pirates in history, has done a lot of detrimental things. Because a friend was bullied, he destroyed the country and caused countless people to be displaced because of the loss of their homes. Whitebeard, the incarnation of love and power on the sea, did many cruel things in his youth. At that time, he was still a member of Rock's Pirate. Who is the one who is in Rock's Pirate who is not the most evil person? Therefore, when targeting the pirates, Miller's attitude remained the same. He rushed to kill him, even more stringent than the previous Marine and World government. In this respect, he is a bit similar to Marine Marshal Akainu. The rewards offered by Kaido and Redhead have not changed, and some have increased. Even Monkey D. Dragon is wanted, with a reward of 4.3 billion Baileys. Sabo 600 million Baileys, as well as cadres like Ivankov, also offered a reward of hundreds of millions of Baileys. On a small island in New World. Several Marine warships and several warships with the flag of the Revolutionary Army docked on the shore. After Marie Joyce was pitted by Miller once, the Revolutionary Army lost 70% to 80% of its elite. Only some cadres are left. The small island was burning with wolves tens of meters high, and there were traces of battles on the ground. After the Revolutionary Army was miserable, Monkey D. Dragon did not give up. He is worthy of being an unyielding fighter, and he perseveres in developing the Revolutionary Army all over the world. Right now, this island is the target of the Revolutionary Army. They plan to brainwash the people on the island and make them become soldiers of the Revolutionary Army. Unfortunately, Marine focused on this, and the two sides started a fierce battle. Admiral Kizaru was the one who was dispatched here. As for the Revolutionary Army, Ivankov, the cadre, was naturally unable to beat Kizaru and was eventually captured alive. Hey. Kizaru, it's all this way, do you want to kill each other? Ivankov was escorted to the warship and sent to naval headquarters. Kizaru glanced back and glanced at Ivankov. Cannibalism. You don't really treat the old man as a pirate, right? Kizaru, haven't you been offered a reward by Miller's world government? A big pirate offering a reward of 4.2 billion Baileys. Is this still a fake? Ivankov said angrily. The world government is destroyed, and you are still arrested by the blind pirates. What is the Revolutionary Army doing? Blind pirate group? A rare anger flashed in Kizaru's old eyes. The old man is Marine. Ha. You have to ask Miller about this. Now in the ocean, who doesn't know the blind big three of the blind pirates? Ivankov sarcastically said. The real blind Akainu, the pretending blind Kizaru, and the fake blind Fujitora. Hearing that, Kizaru's face is green. What kind of messy nickname is this, and what the hell is he pretending to be blind, taunting him for being an actor? Now on the sea, all forces should join forces and fight against Miller's evil rule. Ivankov said in a deep voice, let's not fight each other and waste our fighting power. It is to deal with Miller that Marine will arrest you criminals offering rewards. Kizaru smiled mysteriously, too lazy to explain anything. 2 hours later, Kizaru returned to naval headquarters. In total, more than 20 bounty criminals were caught, and their total amount exceeded 4 billion Baileys. After being taken off the ship, Marine did not throw Ivankov and others into prison, but set foot on another battleship, not knowing where to go. Porusalino, you find a group of Marines disguised as bounty hunters, and hand over the pirates in the Revolutionary Army to Miller's world government, so that we can exchange a lot of startup funds. Inside the marshal's office, Akainu smiled triumphantly. This is the strategy he came up with. Akainu handed the captured bounty criminals to Miller. While defending justice in the name of Marine, he could also earn a lot of extra money. Marine's terrible funds have been effectively alleviated. This is Akainu's plan to kill two birds with one stone. Well, it can be regarded as a curve to save the country. Akainu's plan was really good. After the money was collected, the pirates and the Revolutionary Army fell into Miller's hands and were executed one after another. Akainu firmly believes that in the long run, Marine's situation will gradually pick up. Marine was forced to have no choice, but Akainu had to come up with such a bad idea. He didn't want to be forced to disarmament poorly. This was going to be that point, and there was a fard of capital to contend with Miller. The new world government base camp on the Red Line. I heard that a group of pirates had just been sent, enough to exchange more than 4 billion Baileys. Miller was also shaken, and immediately rushed to take a look. The pirates and the Revolutionary armies stood in a row. Among them, he also found a familiar face, Ivankov. Unexpectedly, I would meet you, kid. Miller picked up a branch and poked Ivankov's explosive head. Where is Monkey D. Dragon hiding? Even if I ask like this, you won't say it. I will not betray the dragon and the Revolutionary Army. Ivankov was determined. That's true. If Ivankov is the kind of man with a difficult position, he would confess when he was thrown into impelled down. It seems that there is nothing worth talking about. Miller lifted his fingertips and shot a straight light. Pouch. The charred 19th rotten meat flew out mixed with blood, and Ivankov's head was immediately punched out. Go find someone. I want to transfer this guy's abilities to my own person. Miller called to the guard outside the door. A few minutes later, a strong man ran over and Miller released the dark scene of dark fruit, connecting this man and Ivankov's body. Gulugulagulu. The rest of the capable people are choking their throats. The New World rumors about Miller have long been exposed. It is because of Miller's brutal style that he will become a public enemy of the world. After a few minutes passed, Miller withdrew from the shady. He looked at the man and said, "Have you gotten the hormonal fruits of Paramecia?" Thank you so much, Lord Miller. The big guy smiled with joy. Very well, you will be a member of the Demon Fruit Power Corps from now on. Attack me. In line with the principle of not letting go of any devil fruit, Miller intends to replicate the hormonal fruit. The little brother was very obedient and gave Miller a punch. The system detected it. Miller finally successfully copied the hormonal fruit. Most of the rest of the capable people are kneeling down and begging for mercy. That is, guys like Ivankov have been brainwashed. If they are replaced by other pirates, they are all greedy for life and fear of death, and they have no position at all. But Miller killed them all. Some people surrendered and ran away when they let them go. He has eaten this kind of loss several times. Therefore, as long as you encounter a capable person now, you will kill first and then plunder the ability. After a while, the Miller pirates had more than a dozen more capable people. Master Miller, the group of bounty hunters who sent the pirates, we probably need to pay each other more than 4 billion Baileys, Cobra said sadly. At the beginning of the establishment of the New World government, all countries did not emerge from the shadow of the pirates. They were all under reconstruction, so there was so much money. Don't panic. I have ordered Shiryu to find someone with golden fruit ability. Money is not a problem. Take me to see it. Miller is also very strange. When did it start? There was such a powerful group of bounty hunters. If possible, Miller hopes that they will become his subordinates so that they don't have to pay. In the hall of meeting guests, there are dozens of people sitting at this moment. Their identities are bounty hunters, but they are actually Marines. This time, it was a Marine female rear admiral named Hina who brought people here. She took off her military uniform and deliberately put on a more sturdy animal skin coat. The Marines she brought with her also did all kinds of cover-ups. All in all, unless you are particularly familiar with them, you don't know the true identity of these guys as Marine. It's surprising. A sudden sound resounded, everyone looked at one place, and a figure suddenly appeared beside the throne. It was Miller who showed up. How did the trivial matter of receiving the bounty alarm this guy? Hina panicked. And the sharp-eyed Miller also spotted Hina, and he jokingly smiled in his heart. I just said how to send so many pirates at one time. It turned out that Marine did it. Ha ha ha. Is that guy Akainu already poor enough to work for me? Miller was calm on the surface, but he was happy in his heart. He also knows that Marine's finances are in trouble. Without the support of world government franchise countries, what does Akainu rely on to support the more than 100,000 Marine elites? Master Miller. Hina still bit the bullet and yelled, "Give us the bounty, and we will continue to cooperate in the future." Miller looked at her as if she had changed to her own Hina. If she didn't look closely, she wouldn't be able to recognize her identity, because Hina had done all kinds of disguise. Her face was covered with various paints, and her chin was still thick. The beard, at first glance, looks like a man, with long hair cut off. Miller looked at Hina for a long time, and came out speechlessly. Are you blind pirates shabby to this point? Why don't you take refuge in me? I can't bear to see how you are now mixed together. Miller directly broke through Hina, who was stunned, and quickly denied. Master Miller, you must be the wrong person, we in high. Oh no, we have nothing to do with the blind pirates. Once admitted, it's not a dead end. You guys like you are useless if you kill them, go back. Miller waved his hand, and finally took a look at Hina. You stay. I remember you are demon fruit power, since I delivered it to the door, I'm not welcome. Miller has never been picky eaters, as long as he is capable, no matter what kind of ability, he will not let it go. Oops. Hina regrets it at the moment. F*K Bo. What kind of errands did Naval Headquarters arrange for her? It's a cheating, push her into the fire pit. Before coming, Akainu, Kizaru and others said clearly, there was no risk, and it was a very simple task. Hina looked at Miller who flashed over in an instant. Is this all so simple? Obviously it was given away. Naval Headquarters. Akainu smoked a cigar and waited innocently. After he decided it was not enough, Hina would return to Naval Headquarters with billions of Baileys. At that time, the problem of insufficient military expenditure could be alleviated for a few days. Akainu's mentality also relaxed, and even lit a cigar. In addition, he dispatched all Marine admiral to arrest the pirates. Those caught were all handed over to Miller's New World government for money. Use Miller's money to expand the army and pack Miller, it's simply perfect. Time passed quickly, and I don't know how long it had passed before the battleship that went out finally came back. It looks like a success. Akainu stood in front of the window, watching Marine who walked off the battleship one after another. It was strange, why are all faces so bad? After a few minutes, someone finally ran over to respond. Marshal Sakazuki, your plan was seen through by the replicator Miller. Inside the marshal's office, Marine, who had fled back, reported on the panic report. The original narrative of the matter was listened to Akainu. Since you have been discovered, why are you still coming back alive? As Marines, shouldn't you die in battle? Cowards, you shouldn't come back. Akainu seemed to have no place to vent his anger, and melted the soldier in front of him with a punch. Hateful Miller. Akainu cursed, didn't get the money, let's not talk about it, and was killed by Miller. It's a big loss. What should I do like this? Akainu has made a difficult situation, and it is okay for him to solve the pirates, but the issue of military expenditure is really not his strong point. Time goes by day, unlike Miller who sits still on the Diayutai. Marine's logistics burden is getting heavier, and deserters leave Marine every day. Even the poor food in some places can't afford to eat. They sell weapons to satisfy their hunger, and some Marines openly rob civilians. What he did was almost the same as the pirate. After delaying for several days, Akainu finally couldn't handle it. In desperation, he was forced to accept Fujitora's suggestion of major disarmament, otherwise all Marines would be forced into bandits. Marine quickly launched a disarmament plan, and the elite of 100,000 people will be cut to 10,000, or even less, because Marine's current ability can only afford about 10,000, and it will not last long. Akainu decided to take the route of elite soldiers and eliminate all crooked melons and cracked dates. Marine is known as 100,000 people, but in fact there are no more than 100,000 people. It is estimated that 2,000 to 3,000 people have run in these days. There are only 60,000 to 70,000 people left. If there is a wave of disarmament, only 7,000 to 10,000 people are expected to remain. A certain Marine base in New World. As soon as a ship docked, the young Marines got off. There is also a pair of dazzling combinations, Kirby and Belameb. The two of them are Garp's disciples, and they are also young rookies in Marine, and they showed extraordinary talents at a young age. Especially Kirby, he has already awakened to see and hear. Although Belameb was not as good as Kirby, he worked hard and successfully controlled Marine's 6 styles. In addition, I caught a glimpse of Observation Hockey's doorway, and it is estimated that it will not take long to wake up. Both of them smashed into the sky at Marine, but unfortunately, their good fortune came to an end today, and Marine's disarmament plan covered both of them. We were laid off. Immediately after disembarking, the two of them had not had time to rest. They were told to go to Leonard Rear Admiral to accept new orders. The new order was not received, but the news of being fired. Kirby and Belameb are crying without tears. What if they are both laid off? So ordinary Marine can be imagined. I haven't become a Marine Admiral yet, so why have I been laid off? Kirby wept bitterly, and his heartbroken look made people feel distressed. The disarmament of Akainu almost eliminated all weak Marines. In addition to strength, there is also loyalty. Kirby and Beirut Maber were laid off. Actually, it has nothing to do with their strength. Someone reported that they had a close relationship with Straw Hat Crew and their loyalty was questionable. They were then laid off. Kirby's Admiral dream was also broken. For other islands in New World, the base chief here is Smoker Rear Admiral. Smoker has worked so hard, and even lost a hand in the battle with Miller. The disarmament plan swept the entire Marine, and all Marines were panicked. It's not that powerful people won't be laid off. Some people, even Rear Admiral, were sent home ruthlessly. The most obvious in this regard is Smoker. 10 minutes ago, he received a special report that Smoker thought it was another order from Naval Headquarters. As a result, when you open it, there are 5 words: you have been laid off. What a joke. Smoker shredded the order on the spot, fighting for Marine for so many years, leaving a scar on his body, but in exchange for being laid off. The reason for dismissing Smoker is very simple. Even if he is Marine, he is still a Logia Smoke Fruit ability, but there is a fatal factor: he was taken away from a hand and his combat effectiveness was greatly reduced. This is why Akainu cut Smoker. First, won't leave Marine, go to hell with disarmament or something. Smoker roared. Marine's major disarmament was panic. Most people were laid off, and the layoffs should be laid off. When they left, Akainu was nothing but no placement fee, so let everyone leave. Who can accept such a result? Some people even sell warships and other things directly to pirates. Even people like Kirby and Smoker have been cut, and you can imagine the miserable end of other Marines. However, Marine has laid off employees, and the New World government led by Miller is undergoing a major expansion. Many of those Marines who were laid off were invited to join the New World Government Alliance. It's just outrageous. Akainu watched the intelligence in his hands exploded. The intelligence showed that of the tens of thousands of people they laid off, almost half of them turned to Miller's New World Government Alliance. And they also formed a new marine, specifically to deal with Akainu's blind pirates. One crazy disarmament, one crazy grabbing people, this is the gap. In terms of finances, the Miller pirates were sufficient, because they found Guild Tezzolo, the man nicknamed the Golden Emperor. This guy controls 20% of Pele in the world. He lacks everything but no money. He is also keen to cooperate with the Miller pirates, because Gilder Tezzolo was also a slave of celestial dragons in the past, and his girlfriend also died because of this evil race. What is Miller who overthrew celestial dragons in his eyes? Hero, idol, savior. There was no need for Miller to speak. With a look, the Golden Emperor delivered a large amount of banknotes to the door. Half a month has passed, the New World Government has joined as many as 80 countries, and the City of Gods on the Red Line has also been built, which is more majestic than the previous Marie Joy's. The high-rise buildings several hundred meters high are particularly magnificent in this world. From then on, this is the center of the world. Wano-kuni of New World. After the fight with the ant, Kaido returned to the Island of Ghosts. Kaido is very nervous these days. Guy's saw was snatched by him, and there is no doubt that this guy is a hot potato now. He's living in fear now, for fear that someday Miller will come over. In the skeleton-shaped building on the Island of Ghosts, Kaido called his men to discuss. That stinky lady actually sent the children as toys for that guy in order to please Miller. It's so embarrassing, Lin. Kaido suddenly smashed the wine jar to death, with a terrible light in his eyes. Both the Queen and King are silent. In addition, other cadres of the Kaido pirate group also came, such as the 6 Volleys, but because of the absence of Drake, they are now the 5th Volleys. Miller's New World Government has replaced celestial dragons. He is now the largest power in the world. If that guy wants to deal with us, responsibly tell everyone that we can't stop it at all. In the Beast's Pirates, which is full of brash men, King is still the cool-headed one. Although the Ant's approach has no dignity, it is also the most effective. It avoids the war between the two sides. We can also give it a try. If it had been the case before, King would definitely be sprayed to death if he said such words. But now it's different. Although they don't want to admit it, the strength of their Kaido pirates is not as good as the Miller pirates. Without Miller, with Shiryu and Enel alone, they successfully resisted the Beast's pirates' attack and cut Kaido. Now that Miller is back, this advantage must be even greater. That guy hasn't bothered us during this time. Foz Ford, one of the 6 Volleys, said disapprovingly. Fool. It's Miller who is busy cleaning up the ant and red hair, or he would have troubled us a long time ago. The Queen glared at Foz Fur. This is called Foz. Ford has a disagreement with King and Queen, and has been watching the position of the 3 plagues. Since Jack died, he has been watching the position of the 3 plagues. We can follow the same way as the ant. King said silently, we will do what we like, and after we have accumulated a certain amount of strength, we will not be too late to turn our face with that guy. For now, we can only bear it. It is ridiculous. Foz Fuchs sneered again and again, and said contemptuously, is the so-called 3 plagues so weak? If it continues like this, Beast's pirates will sooner or later decline. Gula Gulagwo. Kaido didn't speak while listening to the quarrel among the people at hand. Isshin drank. Don't look at his rough appearance, he is actually a rough but fine man. Although King came up with a bad idea, it was a feasible strategy anyway, much better than Foz Fuchs, a man who could only open his mouth. In addition, Kaido also feels that it is not suitable for war at the moment. The strength between the enemy and the enemy is too great. It can even be said that there is no need for all the members of the Miller pirates to call. Miller alone is enough to easily disintegrate the Kaido pirates. Boy, do you want to die? King was enraged, and a flame lit up all over his body. Haha. Will Lousy be afraid of you? Don't look at Foz Fuchs as just a 5 volley, but his own strength is confident enough to think that there is not much difference between strength and the 3 disasters. Shut up. Kaido burst out loud. The sound was like a shockwave, and the heads of both of them were buzzing. Jin, leave this to you. Kaido left the task to King in charge, which meant that he defaulted to his method. I think Xiao Zi can take advantage of it. Jin said indifferently, and at the same time he glanced at the Queen. A certain idiot sent her to the enemy because Xiao Zi was so insane all day. I guess he will settle down completely. Stop talking nonsense, Jin. The Queen on the side jumped up directly, without saying anything, and transformed into a Brachiosaurus. If you want to give Xiao Zi to the replica Miller, You'd better step over Laozi's corpse first. Xiao Zi, that is the Oiran of the country of flowers, and the queen's beloved woman. It's stupid. The king sneered when he heard the words, and said contemptuously, there is only one end for licking a dog, there is nothing left at the end of the lick. You like Xiao Zi so much. I have never seen anyone look at you more. Remember, Xiao Zi is a snake. Woman, idiot Quinn. Jin, you bastard. After these words, the queen's 7 orifices were smoked, and he didn't hit people in the face, but King chose to sprinkle salt on his wounds. For a long time, he thought that the ugly black-headed snake is not worthy of Xiao Zi, and when she is old, Xiao Zi is still a young girl in season, a typical old cow eating tender meat. However, in view of the relationship between the two sides, even if there is dissatisfaction, the queen can only endure it. King's words completely stimulated the queen. Little Z. Kaido also has a sore expression on his face. He also likes this Wanakuna's #1 beauty. Give it to Miller now. From now on, won't Kaido, his king, have to carry the nickname of a soft egg? Can't you change someone else? Kaido's face is also hurting, and he also has thoughts about Xiao Zi. That can also be replaced by someone else. King's eyes swept towards someone, and the girl wearing the mask suddenly slapped Wit, and she couldn't help taking a step back. Don't look at me, asshole Jin. The girl yelled out loud, with dragon horns on her forehead, her 2 big eyes were watery, like a clear spring, and a pair of snow-white thin legs were as long as chopsticks. Her name is Runti, one of the cadres of Beast's pirates, and she also has a younger brother named Peggy Wan, who is also a member of Ling Kong's 6 sons. I heard that the replicators like the short loli, so you can sacrifice it for everyone, Runti. King said bluntly. You are only short, and your whole family is short. Run Tiffin blushed, angrily warned. Jin, if I send me to Miller, I will be the first to instigate him to kill you. If you really have that ability, I'll admit it too, King said nonchalantly. If you dare to say that I will kill you, I can't use my sister as a bargaining chip. Runti's younger brother Peggy Wan directly Devil Fruit turned into a fierce Spinosaurus with a mouth full of fangs. The king still hugged the front with his hands faintly. As the second in command of Beast's pirates, he didn't put this group of scums in his eyes at all. It's very interesting. I don't want to go to Miller, or just send me over, maybe I can hold stronger thighs. A seductive voice suddenly came, and the voice was soft, like an ecstasy, which made people's bones crisp. Looking for the source of the sound, she looked at the huge female giant. Her figure is enchanting, her front is convex and backward, and her beautiful eyes seem to be ecstatic, which makes her mind tremble. Her name is Black Maria, and she is also one of the 6 Volley members. King just glanced lightly at the Black Marie Joys and ignored it. Hey. What's the matter? You actually fell in love with Miller. Do you want to put a hat on Lousy? Kaido glared fiercely at the Black Marie Joys, while the latter was lying on Kaido. I'm not sacrificing myself to go to the enemy camp to find out information. Black Marie Joys smiled and trembled. Just let Runti go. Kaido screamed, and Peggy Wan was about to open his mouth when Kaido's cold eyes swept over. This is betraying me, Runti stomped angrily. How can it be said that it is a betrayal? This is friendly cooperation. You temporarily help us to stabilize that guy, and the strength will increase in the future, so naturally I will snatch you back. The queen agreed with this proposal very much. It's fine if you don't give Xiao Zi to Miller. Even though it is the woman appointed by Orochi, if you stay in Wano-kuni, the queen will have some hope. If you go to Redline, you won't even think about it. You guys. Runti shivered in anger, and her white jade fingers tremblingly pointed at these guys, and she couldn't speak for a while. He was in the same mood as Smokey, Boss Kaido. A pirate wearing animal skins suddenly broke in, with a phone bug in his hand. This is from the Miller Pirates. When this word fell, the rest of the people were refreshed. Yo, Kaido, it's been a long time. Miller's voice came across from the phone worm. Everyone's expressions sank after hearing this, and Runti's eye sockets were about to tear. It was this guy who caused her to be abandoned by Beast's pirates. Go ahead. What do you want to do? Kaido doesn't want to talk nonsense. What are you doing? Do you still have to say it? When Lousy was away, you took advantage of the fire and sank Punk Hazard. Guy Saw, the uncle's man, also fell into your hands. Now you ask me what I want to do. Miller's voice was cold, and even the phone bug stared at Kaido coldly. If you want to go to war, Lousy is not afraid of you. Kaido replied very stubbornly. Ha. Okay, Kaido, the courage has grown. I thought you would please me like an ant. It looks like you are ready to go to war. If that's the case, then we have no intention of going to war with you. King suddenly came up and snatched the phone bug and didn't give Kaido the boss at all. The boss has drunk too much fake alcohol, and he is drunk and speaks bad words. Don't be inferior to him. Queen. 6 volleys. Kaido. Really? Then where is your sincerity? Miller's voice also eased. Beast's pirates will send Runty to Red Line. King said the condition. Hey. This is your sincerity. It's too far. Even the ant is not as good as the ant, and I have to bring Xiao Zi over. In addition, Kaido's daughter Yamato will bring me here as a hostage, and... What are you talking about? Kaido was irritated on the spot when he heard this, and spouted at the phone bug. You dare to even hit Laozi's daughter's idea? What's not to dare? Miller in the Red Line God City digs out his nostrils and preaches calmly. This is the price you paid for attacking the Miller pirates. Laozi hasn't been defeated yet. Kaido shivered angrily, and Miller completely treated them as the losers. I know you weren't defeated, or else there will be a chance to talk to me. Take advantage of not losing now, hurry up and pay a price to extinguish my anger, otherwise Wano-kuni will not stay up and down. Miller hung up the phone worm after speaking. Hateful kid. An angry Kaido released Conqueror's haki, and the entire fortification was shattered, the sky was swept across the sky, and the depressed atmosphere spread. The faces of everyone at Beast's Pirates were extremely ugly. This Miller is also arrogant, you can't rob someone like that, even Xiao Zi and Runty are worried about Kaido's daughter. Blue. The phone worm rang suddenly, and everyone looked at each other. Maybe that guy thought the conditions just now were too excessive, so he called and got rid of Yamato. Queen guessed. It's pretty much the same. Kaido's anger has been cut by more than half. If I want his daughter, Kaido won't lose face. Kaido pressed the answer button, and before he could speak, Miller spoke in advance. I forgot to say it just now, remember to send me the historical text you have on hand. Look at my memory. If it wasn't for Robin's reminder, I would forget it. Okay, so be it. Haha. Miller didn't care about Kaido's reply, he just hung up the phone worm. Everyone at Beast's Pirates looked at each other, this Miller was just getting worse. Go to war. Go to war. Go to war now. Kaido roared again and again, he couldn't bear such humiliation, and disappeared directly as a blue dragon. Everyone frowned, the headquarters of the Miller Pirates was Red Line. Could it be that they are going to attack Red Line and fail? I can only execute Governor Kaido's orders. The king and others were helpless, and immediately began to gather the Beast's Pirates personnel. By the next day, hundreds of warships were ready, and there were probably tens of thousands of pirates. Just waiting for Kaido to dispatch together, but who told you to send troops? Laozi was just a little angry yesterday. Kaido was surprised to see so many pirates, and it was just Miller who made a complaint yesterday. No, these idiots take it seriously? As time passed by Tenten, Miller on the Red Line did not feel Kaido's apology. That kid really didn't intend to please himself. In this way, Miller launched an action. He summoned Shiryu and Enel, and led a large number of members of the Miller pirate group to fight against the bandits. Rumble. An unnamed island in New World, this used to be the site of the Whitebeard pirates. Later, after the defeat of the Top War, the Whitebeard pirates fell apart, and the Kaido pirates took the opportunity to grab it. Members of the Miller pirates and Beast's pirates fought fiercely. After half an hour passed, the island fell and became the site of the Miller pirates. This scene has been staged all over New World. With the exception of Wano-kuni, over 70% of Kaido's site has been attacked. The enemy really came. Kaido was furious and led the main force of Beast's pirates to fight Enel and Shiryu. Regrettably, the result was exactly the same as the last time. With the joint efforts of Enel and Shiryu, Kaido was defeated. Beast's pirates also suffered heavy losses, and the man-made Devil Fruit army was wiped out with most of its personnel. After 2 days of fierce fighting, Kaido, who had no chance of winning at all, returned to Wano-kuni. In this battle, the Beast's pirates' army was in disarray, and morale fell to a trough. They were hit hard in the past, who had never been profitable before. After returning to Wano-kuni, Kaido learned from the pain and decided to agree to Miller's terms. Runty and Xiaozi can give it to you, and the history text can also be given to you, but Yamato definitely can't. Kaido stubbornly preached to the phone worm. In fact, he was very curious. Why did Miller know about the existence of Yamato? This guy has never set foot in Wano-kuni, right? Another point is, how did he know that Yamato is a girl? Kaido has always announced that Yamato is his son. You value this daughter very much. Miller was also secretly surprised. As everyone knows, Kaido is an extremely cold and ambitious man who cares about his daughter so much. The most cheating is that the daughter of Kaido has been fighting against him, because Yamato inherited Kazuki Oden's will. I plan to let Yamato be. This is Laozi's plan, it has nothing to do with you. The cold light in Kaido's eyes flickered. Wano-kuni has been controlled by Beast's pirates, and Kurozumi Orochi is of little use value. Kaido has already planned to get rid of Kurozumi Orochi and let her daughter Yamato become Wano-kuna's new general, which is a dream come true. It is enough to see how much Kaido loves this daughter. He knows that Yamato's idol is Kazuki Oden, and even intends to pass Wano-kuna's general position to her. Because of this, I want your daughter Yamato. Miller said lightly. If you don't give it, I will get it myself. You bastard, do you want to die? Kaido was furious. Didn't you go to war before? As you wish. Miller said indifferently. Can't Laozi brag? Kaido snarled. Can Laozi scream? Is it illegal? Who rules that screaming is not allowed? In fact, when he started, he really didn't expect to start a war with Miller. There was a huge gap between the strength of the two sides. He and the Big Mom pirates were not necessarily Miller's opponent. You think about it. Miller hung up the phone worm again. Kaido's face looked ugly, and he went straight to somewhere in a rage. In a prison on the island of Oni, because the fool's daughter Yamato was disobedient, Tenten threatened to be a man, like Kazuki Oden. This caused Kaido's strong dissatisfaction. Since the age of 8, Yamato has been put on a bomb bracelet by Kaido, and has been caught several times and beaten in prison. Stupid father, you can't stop me. In the dark prison, rats and cockroaches were everywhere. Yamato was curled up in the corner. Although her small face was covered with a lot of dirt, she could still see her delicate and beautiful face. If Miller were there, he would definitely suspect that Kaido had been greened. In terms of appearance, Yamato was not at all like the reckless Kaido. Governor Kaido, in the dark prison, the jailer made a panic. Beat me again? I won't admit defeat. Yamato stood up stubbornly. Kaido had been using violence to make her change her mind. Yamato would rather die than yield. Yo, idiot daughter. The jailer quickly brought Kaido over, and he looked at Yamato, who was vigorous, and he was not angry. Yamato looked at Kaido stubbornly, which seemed to mean that it's useless for you to hit me. Are you still reluctant to change your mind? Kaido glared fiercely and said sharply, Kazuki Oden is a stupid man, you can't be as stupid as him. I forbid your insulting idol. Yamato looked like the hair on his tail, and the mace was aimed directly at Kaido's head.
Kaido's entire face was cramping, and this damn rebellious son was just. Oh no, it was a heinous crime to be a damned rebellious girl.
I will repeat it one last time, and kick Kazuki Oden out of your heart. He is just your father and mine, Kaido commanded indifferently. I reject. Yamato gritted his teeth every word. Kaido's pupils are deep, and his daughter seems to have burned her head. You can do it for yourself in the future. Apart from anything else, Kaido turned and left, and he sighed complicatedly at this moment, who had always been violent. Hey, what? What the hell is going on? Yamato was dumbfounded. According to the previous script, Kaido, who was furious, rushed in and beat her. Why did he suddenly change his mind this time? After returning, Kaido dialed the number to contact Redline. Tell Miller the replicator. Laozi agreed to his terms. Kaido agreed. Runti, Shaozi, Yamato, and the history text are all Miller's. There is one more person Guy saw, he can't miss it. Regarding Yamato, Kaido has given up. The only thing that makes Kaido feel distressed is that Guy sprinkled it. He hasn't covered his heat yet, so he is leaving? Even if he personally sent away Guy Saw, it felt uncomfortable in my heart. To tell the truth, Kaido doesn't care much about things like the history text. Just make a copy of it, and it's not a big deal. In a certain laboratory in Wano-kuni, the queen brought someone to mention Guy and sprinkled it. My uncle doesn't leave, you grab and let go if you want, Laozi won't make you so comfortable. Guy came up with a stubborn temper. He also knew that Miller had returned, and he was ecstatic. This was the source of his confidence. What about Beast's pirates? My boss is Miller, the replica of the king of the world. This is what Guy has been talking about. After Miller was resurrected, it finally came in handy again. You kid don't know good or bad. The queen is angry, and she will kill the bastard if she just slaps her face. A waste in a mirror, so arrogant. If I don't leave, Mr. Miller will definitely come to Wano-kuni. Guy's sudden words changed the queen's face and her fists were also retracted. What do you want? The queen asked with restraint of anger, even though she wanted to smash this guy into pieces. Beasts Pirates has a bad food. My uncle has a problem with his body. Recently, his legs are a bit uncomfortable. Go and find the bastards of Volley 6. They used to be the uncle they caught. Now let them roll over and lift the sedan chair for lousy. Guy preached arrogantly. Have you got any water in your head? Eat shit to calm down, okay. The queen's forehead is full of blue veins. If it is a small matter, he can still solve it, but the arrogant guys of the 6 volleys, except for Kaido's orders, are quite unconvinced with him and King. Order them to lift the sedan chair for Guy, isn't that nonsense? If they don't want to do it. Guy cast his eyes dripping at the queen. It's okay for you to carry me as a brachiosaurus. You are really tired and crooked. The queen threw her fist. Guy's saw is extremely calm. My boss is Miller, the copy of the king of the world. Guy yelled out his catchphrase again, which seemed to be magical, and the queen really retracted his fist. The royal palace of Wano-kuni, the capital of flowers. Give Xiao Zi to the replica Miller. What a joke, no one can take Xiao Zi without my permission. Inside the luxurious palace, Kurozumi's heart-piercing voice kept ringing. Xiao Zi. That's his loyal woman. How can you give it to others? Then you want the replicator Miller to destroy Wano-kuni? King asked coldly. Kurozumi's face is very ugly. He used to think that relying on Kaido, he could do anything without scruples. Now it looks like a big mistake. Even Governor Kaido's daughter didn't keep it. What is your woman? King turned and left to get someone. Compared with Yamato, what is the trivial little purple? In the prison where Yamato was detained, 10 minutes ago, a group of people came and did not say anything about Yamato. Even the bomb bracelet in her hand was released. In addition, Kaido took the initiative to dissolve his father-daughter relationship with Yamato, and directly stated that he would send Yamato out of Wano-kuni. This made her happy. When did that father start to be so kind? Half a day later, Run-T, Yamato, and Xiao Zi, the 3 of them boarded a battleship together, and rushed to the Red Line together as the setting sun went down. Oh, I almost forgot, there was Guy who was carried over by the queen. Wait for Miller for lousy, sooner or later I will beat you. Looking at the warship going away, Kaido swears secretly in his heart. After the past few days, the membership of the New World Government Alliance has increased again, and this time it has reached triple digits. The pirates dare not provoke any country that has taken refuge in Miller, because Miller is not as easy to talk as Marine. For pirates, if they are caught, they are killed, and then the plundering power is transferred to their own people. This rough method once reduced the number of pirates on the sea. As for the prison, they are all used to detain Marine. If Roger started the era of the Great Pirate, then Miller is probably the end of this era. Although Miller's strength has changed the ecological environment on the sea, there are exceptions to everything. Some pirates who have great grievances with Miller have attacked the countries joining the New World Government. The City of Gods on the Red Line. In the quiet hall, Miller would enjoy it more and more. A group of rich singers danced in transparent tulle. Everyone was white and beautiful, and the average age was only in their early 20s. Master Miller. Outside the hall, a figure suddenly flashed out, and Miller looked intently. It was a Violet. She was originally the princess of Dressrosa. She was sunk during the battle between Dressrosa and EIM. Miller gave King Liku an island again. Violet has stayed at Red Line to serve Miller. She is a person with the ability to stare at the fruit, and her current task is to detect the enemy's situation. The Kingdom of Lantland, the member country on the Grand Line, is currently being attacked by pirates, so we ask for support, Violet explained. Leave it to Shiryu and Enel. Miller waved his hand. In recent times, he has rarely used his hands. Everything is left to Shiryu and Enel. In government affairs, there are Cobra and Neptune, he has become the shopkeeper. The pirate's identity is a bit special, you have explained it carefully before. I am a member of Straw Hat Crew. Violet's words dilated Miller's pupils a little. It's really the person I'm interested in. Who from Straw Hat Crew? Miller asked. Vinsmoke Sanji, that is, Miss Reiju's younger brother. Violet told the truth. That kid, let Reiju handle it. Miller was happy, not Luffy. He pushed the matter to Reiju, and if it was someone else, he would just be executed. Miller had promised her once, and when he met Sanji, he could temporarily bypass him. If this kid agrees to join the Miller Pirates, he will be his own in the future. If you continue to stubbornly, then kill. Even if Reiju and Miller are in that kind of relationship, when it comes to positions, Miller will not give too much green light. You can give it a chance, but if you still don't get the hang of it, then there is no way. Who allowed you to stop? Let this uncle continue to dance. Miller stared at the dancing girl below sneakily, waiting for him to come to a grand party. After half an hour, Reiju set off, aiming at the landland kingdom of the Grand Line. Accompanied by members of the Vinsmoke family. Sanji has been looking for Luffy's whereabouts recently. Some time ago, he heard that Luffy had gone to New World, and he also wanted to rush to New World. There are no more than 2 roads to New World, either crossing the Red Line or passing by the Fishmen Island. Obviously the second one is a bit simpler. The original Saboti archipelago disappeared because of the war, and Sanji could only be coded in a nearby country called Randland. Unfortunately, during this period, Sanji was reported. The explosion on the island kept on, and the battleships of the Vinsmoke family had surrounded the entire island, and Sanji couldn't escape. Boom rumble. Boom rumble. Boom rumble. There was a burst of explosions from the port on the southeast side, and the sky was full of flames. After a long time, a scorched black shadow fell from the sky and fell into the sea with a thud. The 3 brothers of the Vinsmoke family launched a siege on Sanji, with 2 fists hard to beat by 4 hands, and Sanji eventually lost. Go and catch it. Reiju looked at Ichi's command and said that the leader of the Vinsmoke family today is already Reiju. It was Sanji who fell into the sea just now. Others, Reiju can still kill the killer, Sanji's words, she can't do it. She decided to give Sanji a chance. After about a few minutes, Sanji was picked up, his back was scorched, and facing the siege of the Vinsmoke family, he lost very thoroughly. Reiju? Sanji reluctantly opened his eyes and looked at Reiju in surprise. It was Reiju who let her escape from the Vinsmoke family before. Why now? Come to catch him. I received an order from Master Miller. Reiju said straightforwardly. Sanji, Master Miller is willing to give you a chance, as long as you give up the dark and cast the light, everything before you can be forgotten. Is the condition so good? Sanji was also very surprised. Almost any pirates Miller saw were killed. Now let him go. Is that guy afraid of Luffy's revenge? Sanji asked uncertainly. Idiot. 100 monkey D. Luffy is no match for his hand when tied up. IG sneered. Sanji, not only did your body fail to be remodeled, but this head doesn't seem to be very bright either. Monkey D. Luffy has created many miracles along the way, but he hasn't grown to the point Miller fears. Luffy now doesn't even have the strength of Admiral, how can he compete with Miller? It's 1,000 miles away. Are you willing to surrender? Reiju didn't want to talk nonsense. Being a pirate all the time is done by someone who has nothing to do. You have changed, Reiju. Sanji didn't mean to wake up, but dismissed it. I read you wrong. I didn't expect you to have become the copycat Miller's running dog. That guy hurt my companion, don't say surrender him, one day I will. Slap. Reiju slapped Sanji's face with a loud slap, and his mouth was bleeding. When will I grow up? Yuji and Niji also shook their heads, and Judge didn't even bother to look at them. In his eyes, this son was already dead. Answer my question. Are you willing to surrender? Reiju asked again. I reject. Sanji stiffened and rejected Reiju's proposal with a louder voice. His arrogance was also aroused. It is extremely shameful to throw in the enemy. Even Usopp didn't surrender until he died. If I am softened, wouldn't it be too embarrassing? Sanji stood up and raised his head. He was a stubborn and proud man. In this scenario, the evil green algae head is probably the same choice, right? Is the Straw Hat Luffy more important than your life? Reiju hated iron and steel and scolded. You have the blood of the Vinsmoke family. There is no need to sell your life to other people. The family also needs you. I'm not a member of the Vinsmoke family anymore, I made it clear a long time ago. Sanji wasn't interested at all. There is no way. I have done what can be done, and I have done my best if I can work hard. Reiju sighed, not forcing Sanji anymore. She had tried her best to give Sanji a chance. But what can this kid do if he doesn't know much about it? 2 hours later, Sanji was taken to the City of Gods on the Red Line. Miller met the kid in person. Sanji, the opportunity your sister is fighting for from me is very rare, don't you think about it anymore. Miller was lying on the throne on the steps more than 10 meters high. Reiju was in charge of the fan, and Khalifa was beating Miller's leg. What can I say to you? Sanji looked at Miller disdainfully. Do it, I'm not afraid of death. Ha ha ha, really a tough guy. Miller praised with a thumbs up, but this kind of person is also the stupidest. He stared at Sanji for a few moments, his expression gradually becoming sinister. Killing you is of no value, And your kid doesn't have devil fruit to copy for me. Rather than kill you, you will not accept the waste and use it. With a terrible green light in his eyes, Miller asked, "Do you know the top war?" A fire fist ace attracted the Whitebeard pirates. Sanji's head wasn't stupid, and he reacted instantly, glaring at Miller. "Despicable guy, are you planning to use me to attract Luffy?" The answer is correct, but unfortunately there is no reward. Miller's eyes were full of sly. "I'm going to plan another war to the top and put you to death in public in 7 days. Monkey D. Luffy won't watch his companion be killed. He will definitely do something by then. Ha 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 ha. Welcome him to Red Line as a guest." Miller laughed triumphantly. He understood Luffy's personality. In order to save his companions, he could bet his own life. This was his strength, but it was also a fatal weakness. It was easy to be used by others. Sanji stared at Miller fiercely, and his angry eyes swept towards Reiju. "Is this your loyal person?" "The process is not important." Reiju faintly replied. "What's more, the pirate itself is a villain under the banner of freedom. What kind of ethics need to be paid to the wicked? Look at what Marine is doing. Oh no, look at how the blind pirates deal with the Whitebeard pirates. The group will know. Shameless people always make excuses for themselves." Sanji closed his eyes. There was nothing to say. "Take it with you." Miller waved his hand and ordered Sanji to be taken away. He didn't know why Luffy's charm was so great. Sanji seemed to be brainwashed. Spread the news of the execution of Sanji. The members of Straw Hat crew must have acted. Miller's mouth pursed a smile. What if those guys really give up saving Sanji? Reiju has some doubts about this. After all, it is the base camp of the Miller pirates. Not everyone has the courage to enter. "It doesn't matter. Just kill Sanji directly. Let Luffy kid cry well." Miller preached calmly. Half a day later, the newspaper announced that Sanji was about to be executed. Generally speaking, Sanji is just a small role, and Miller's New World government is just a fuss. But for the Straw Hat pirates, their heartstrings were severely touched. "I can't give up Sanji." On an island in New World, Straw Hat Luffy also saw the latest newspaper. After entering the New World, he found Ace and strengthened the other members of the Whitebeard pirate group according to Rayleigh's previous advice. Rayleigh once told him that if he wants to defeat Miller, he can only unite with all the powerful pirates and use Luffy's own personality charm to twist the power of these people together, so that he can create a miracle to defeat Miller. 2 days ago, Luffy came to this island. He was warmly welcomed because it was the site of the Whitebeard pirates. The people entrenched here are Huaquan Ace, Marco and others. Sanji is my companion. I can't just watch him be executed. Luffy clenched his fist, his tone firm. "Luffy, Miller, this is what attracted you to the past," Ace reminded. "In order to catch you, that guy really took a lot of trouble." Marco looked at the newspaper in surprise. If Luffy is a big pirate, the key point is that this kid is just a little pirate with a reward of more than 500 million points. The New World government is no different from the previous world government. I like to use this trick of catching turtles in the urn. I think Redline has already set up a network. Diamond Joz snorted. "I will do my best to rescue Sanji." Luffy read the newspaper, his eyes gleaming brightly, which is very dangerous, but in his life creed, he has not given up on companionship. "Really? You have all the crew broken up now. Why are you trying to break into the Red Line? Are just like before?" Ace sighed. "No way, you are my brother, I can only follow you went fooling around." "Wow." Luffy burst into tears and hugged Ace excitedly. Only in times of crisis can we see the importance of brothers. The remnants of the Whitebeard pirates looked at each other. In fact, they didn't feel well these days. A man named Edward Wable chased them everywhere, trying to seize his father's legacy. Whitebeard did not leave a legacy or a big treasure. It's just the whimsical woman of Miss Ba Jin. Edward Wable is very powerful. Known as Whitebeard E, he has the power of Whitebeard's youth. Although he is a little stupid, his power is still daunting. Under the chase of Edward Wable, the Whitebeard pirate group, which had been disintegrated, was beaten into scattered sand. "Ace, you are Luffy's brother and our brother, in other words." Marco looked at Luffy with sincere eyes. "Luffy is also our younger brother. The Whitebeard pirates will do their best to help Luffy." "Wow. Thank you so much, Pineapple Head." Luffy hugged Marco again, who was speechless for a while. "Who made you mess with your nickname?" Luffy's side is just one of them. In other places in the world, it was heard that Sanji was going to be executed. Someone also boarded the battleship. "Are you leaving, Roronoa?" Next to the harbor, Zoro stepped on a small boat, and the person who stopped him just now was Mihawk Hawkeye. At the time of Saboti Archipelago, all members of the Straw Hat Pirates were shot flying by Miller. He happened to be sent to the Kingdom of Skyfrost on the Grand Line. Zoro wandered in that country for a while, and immediately landed on the island unexpectedly, Kana Island. Perhaps it was destined. Even though Miller disrupted the course of history, when things developed to the end, he still applauded Hawkeye. As early as in East Blue, Hawkeye met Zoro. At that time, he had a hunch that there will definitely be a great swordsman Zoro on the sea in the future. It is precisely because of this that Hawkeye pays special attention to Zoro, and even made an exception to teach him swordsmanship a while ago. Zoro did not disappoint. His kendo talent is a rare super genius in the world, and his progress these days is visible to the naked eye. Luffy has learned armed color and seeing and hearing color, and even controlled Conqueror's Haki, has developed 4 gears, and has many powerful tricks. Zoro is not too bad. He exercises himself frantically every day. Why is he so desperate? I just don't want the tragedy of Saboti Archipelago to happen again. That lustful cook is going to be executed, not just me. Luffy will definitely act too. Zoro looked at Hawkeye and said, I am trying my best to strengthen myself, but I don't want my partner to be bullied. Isn't your first dream to defeat me? It's changed now? Hawkeye's eyes became extremely compelling in an instant. Like a falcon, have you retreated in the face of difficulties? It used to be the first dream, but now it can only be regarded as the second. Companion transcends everything, and even my life, even though it is the stinky cook of damn it. Zoro met Hawkeye's eyes without fear. Hawkeye watched Zoro again for a moment, and suddenly the corners of his mouth raised a slight arc. Huh. The first dream and the second dream. What a man who doesn't stand firm. Maybe I missed you. You are not what I have been waiting for. That man. Perhaps it really is. Zoro didn't deny it either, and then solemnly preached. But the guy who cares for his companion's life is not as good as a waste. Hearing this, Hawkeye thought for a moment, and his attitude suddenly changed. Let me go to the Red Line with you. The other is about Shichibukai. The New World government led by Miller is not lacking in combat effectiveness. Organizations like Shichibukai that do more harm than good have also been cancelled by him. All members of Shichibukai are wanted again. Hawkeye, Edward Wable, Buggy, these people have become wanted again. Boa Hancock is already his own, and he is not in the wanted range. Redline, the city of the gods. Several special guests came at this moment, and Miller personally met them. Ooh. Master Miller, it's great to see you. When I was abducted by Beast's pirates, I thought I would never see you again in my life. As soon as Guy saw Miller, he held his thigh and cried. Do you know how I came here these days? I wash my face with tears all day long. I miss you day and night. I miss you because I don't want to live in the house, and I can't eat enough food. I lost 10 or 20 caddies. Guy let out his nose and tears, and showed his small arms and legs. Go away. Don't hold lousy, uncle don't get involved. Miller kicked Guy's saw. If it's a girl, forget it. What would it be like for 2 big men to hug each other? Besides, I've heard about it. When you went to Kaido, you were in a good mood, and you had a good day. It's completely different from what you complained about. Miller said directly. During this time, I also heard that you helped Kaido make a batch of artificial devil fruit. Even when you were leaving, it was a Kui that came with you. It's a lot of face. That's a pirate offering a reward of more than 1.3 billion. Miller stretched his voice and looked at Guy meaningfully. Guy immediately got a cold sweat when he heard the words. He thought Miller was going to settle accounts after the autumn. He quickly said, that's just being forced to be helpless, my heart actually still. That's all right. Don't fool me with your rhetoric, let's go on. Miller's gaze fell on 3 figures, namely Shaozi, Runti, and Yamato. I will come to you to explain another day. Guy wiped the cold sweat off his forehead and left in a hurry. He didn't dare to disturb the interest of this Grandpa Miller. Wait. Now that you have the personality of Vegapunk, you will immediately research the SSG Special Science Unit for me. After Shichibukai is cancelled, use SSG to make up for the lost combat power. Miller asked. Don't worry about this. Guy straightened his waist. This is his area of expertise, and naturally he won't let Miller down. Next are the 3 of you. Miller looked at 3 slim girls, one of whom was tied up Yamato. Really? What kind of blind jerk treats Ms. Yamato like this? You are a guest from afar. Miller's eyes stared slightly, and Yamato's chain was broken. How did you do it? Yamato was taken aback, then swished before Miller. Bold. The guards on both sides were furious, and the one who lived in the city of God was naturally a god. This guy actually dared to attack the god and was unforgivable. Boom. Before the small fist that was thrown out hit Miller, a powerful force swept through, and Yamato flew out weakly. Okay. So strong. Yamato lay on the ground embarrassedly, his eyes full of shock when he watched Miller. She didn't even see how to do it. Change me. Runti, who was quite critical of Miller, instantly transformed into a huge dinosaur, and she rushed with her powerful limbs. 30 million volts. Boom boom. Miller blew a zigzag lightning bolt on Runti's body, and she was easily blown into the air. The current swept through her body. Runti couldn't move, and the numbness caused by the thunder and lightning made her unable to lift a bit of strength. Aren't you doing it? Miss Z. Among the three, the most honest person is Xiao Z. It's not precise enough, it should be called Miss Hihe. Miller smiled slightly, and Xiao Z's pretty face suddenly froze. You are Kazuki Oden's daughter, don't worry about denying it, I know more than you think. And you don't have to be afraid, as long as you take good care of this uncle in the City of Gods, I guarantee you are absolutely safe here. No matter how you were before, it has nothing to do with lousy. Master Oden's daughter. Yamato looked at Kazuki Hiyori in surprise, his eyes fixed on her, motionless. Where did this guy get the news? Kazuki Hiyori was also secretly surprised. She looked at Miller's calm look, as if all the secrets had been seen through by him. As long as you obediently be my people, in the future, you will be prosperous and wealthy, and you will have everything you want. Miller promised. I just want to be free. Yamato glanced at Miller like a torch. Life on the sea is what I yearn for. Miller heard this and looked at Yamato silently. Why was she tied up when she came before? It was because Yamato was trying to escape and was chained. Seeing her reluctance to admit defeat at the moment, she can be considered to be blamed. The sailing life recorded in Master Oden's notes is really fascinating. Yamato looked longing. It's no wonder that Kaido-ga is so mad at you that Kazuki Oden is his #1 enemy. The wound on your father Kaido's body is the one that Kazuki Oden left behind. Miller feels a little sympathetic to Kaido. This Yamato F*K is a super filial piety. Huh. We have already dismissed the father-daughter relationship. That bastard actually installed a bomb bracelet on my body. He is really going to kill me. I have a chance in the future. I must blow his head. Yamato squeezed his fist, and Miller felt more and more pitiful for Kaido. As long as you are willing to cooperate with me, there will be opportunities for everything in the future. Don't you like Kazuki Oden's sailing life? I can even equip you with a boat, send you to Raftel, and let you be the second One Piece. Miller is very magnanimous. That is the secret Celestial Dragons cares about. It has nothing to do with him. Will you be so kind? Yamato looked suspicious and wary of it. To be honest, about Raftel's secrets and the contents of the historical text, I originally planned to make them public. Miller explained. The text of the history records bad news for Celestial Dragons. Only by letting the world understand the cruelty of Celestial Dragons will it be easier for the New World government under my control to survive. After all, people love the new and hate the old, let alone a hypocritical regime. The three women looked at each other. Miller was surprisingly easy to talk, and he was not as irritable as the other pirates. He usually agrees to some conditions that do not involve the issue of position. In fact, Miller, as a traverser, was not as murderous as other pirates. His brutality was only aimed at the enemy. After the establishment of the New World government, Miller also made many improvements in terms of people's livelihood. The first is that the evil heavenly gold has been cancelled. For some poor countries, they simply cannot afford to pay the exorbitant Tiantian gold, and Marine will not send troops to protect it, leaving it to fend for themselves. The times are different now. The alliance countries of the New World government only pay about 1% to 5% of their tax each year. If they can't afford to pay, they can use their own minerals and other strategic materials to compensate. At present, the countries harassed by pirates in the sea have suffered heavy losses, and Miller has even waived the protection fee. This makes many countries feel grateful for the New World government and have a stronger sense of belonging. The original Tiantian gold accounted for almost 50% of the country's income, and sometimes even ridiculously soared to 70% or even 80%. The extravagant life of Celestial Dragons is to stand on the suffering of all mankind. There is another condition for me to take refuge in you. Yamato pointed to Kazuki Hiyori. This Hiwa lady is the daughter of my idol. I don't allow you to hurt her. Does this still need you to say? Miller's eyes circled around Kazuki Hiyori, dribbling, delicate features, fair complexion, and big bright eyes glowing like stars. As expected of Wanakuna's #1 beauty, you will be mine from today. Miller's eyes glowed with greed. Half a day later, another super hot news made the headlines of the world newspapers. The world has always been curious about the secrets in the text of history. That is something inherited hundreds of years ago, and everyone in the world hopes to figure out what happened in the past. However, the content of the historical text is prohibited by the world government. After such a long time, no one dared to touch it. The O'Hara incident is an example. Another point is that only one person can understand the content of the historical text, Nico Robin, which also makes it impossible to truly understand what happened before. Until today, most of the contents of the historical text have been analyzed. Miller published these contents in the newspaper, and the world was shaking. The secrets about ancient weapon were all erased by Miller. The content of the historical text is as follows. 800 years ago, 20 kings under the leadership of Yim launched a devastating attack on the kingdom of Di at that time. A fierce battle broke out between the two sides, and the war lasted for several years before the kingdom of Di was destroyed. That war was a real world war, and hundreds of countries were involved. There are too many casualties, hundreds of millions. After defeating the kingdom of Di, celestial dragons launched a slaughter operation, and the kingdom of Di was slaughtered. All the people with Di in the country's name were tortured and killed. Not only that, but those countries that followed the kingdom of Di were also destroyed, and the degree of panic and madness was beyond imagination, as if the population was purged. In that battle, more than 1 billion people were killed, and 9 floors were slaughtered by celestial dragons. When such news hits the newspaper, you can imagine how much shock it will cause the world. For a long time, the world government led by celestial dragons has prided itself on maintaining world stability, peace and friendship, but who would have thought that their ancestors were so violent? Hundreds of millions of human beings are killed if they say they are killed. They are just as worthless as grass. Let's talk about pirates. The most cruel thing on the sea is undoubtedly the 4 emperors. As for Miller, I'm sorry, he has been washed white. Fortunately, the red-haired ant and Kaido are more brutal. They have also destroyed many countries, but they have not caused hundreds of millions of casualties like celestial dragons. It turns out, world government is the biggest black nest. The remarks published in the newspapers have exploded all over the world, especially those countries that used to join the world government, and the response was extremely fierce. My God, before. What kind of organization did we join? Tanokuni of North Blue. It is hard to imagine that the world government is so dark that we should be ashamed. The Snowy Kingdom of North Blue. The greatest luck in this life is to join the new world government alliance. Alabasta on the Grand Line. What are you waiting for? Without heavenly gold, you can still get the protection of Lord Miller. The new world government is the light of the future world, the paradise of mankind. South Blue Duchy of Roses. After the secrets in the historical text were exposed, the whole world started an anti-celestial dragons movement. That is, celestial dragons were killed by Miller, otherwise, it would definitely be dragged out. However, there are still some scattered celestial dragons all over the world. What Miller annihilated was only the celestial dragons who lived in Marie Joyce, and many people lived in other places. For example, the Grand Line is a large island called Kur, where life is happily, rich in resources, and it is an extremely wealthy country. There is also a family of celestial dragons called Royce entrenched here. After the destruction of the world government, they lived and trembled, and they did not have the previous benefits. They called for marine protection, and Akainu also ignored them. Having said that, I hate it because celestial dragons is a common problem for all mankind. After the outbreak of the celestial dragon's crime, the Royce family was dragged out by to whip the corpse. The former noble celestial dragons are now inferior to pigs and dogs. A family of 5 was hanged alive by angry people. Even the corpses were thrown in the sun, and only after they stinked, did people throw the corpses into the sea to feed the fish. This kind of guy with a sinful bloodline, if buried in the ground, even the fertile soil will be contaminated. Compared with the previous celestial dragon's government, the new world government is simply too kind. After the historical text was exposed, the number of countries joining the new world government soared to dozens at a time. There are now more than Miller's new world government, and he is already a veritable king of the world. A country in New World. Marine received information that a pirate group came to do evil, and Akainu decisively dispatched Marine to attack. But after seeing Marine, the residents of the island decisively blasted Marine away. Because the world knows that until now, Marine is still loyal to the world government. The lackeys of celestial dragons are not welcome. Naval headquarters. In the future, we can't send out under the banner of world government. Marine must completely draw a line from world government. If it doesn't, Miller will not be required to do it. Naval headquarters will become the public enemy of people all over the world. After returning, Kizaru complained aggrievedly. When people saw Marine in the past, not to mention a warm welcome, at least they would not wait on rotten eggs and stones. It seems that world government is really going to die. Akainu also sighed. If even Marine does not support the world government, this overlord who has ruled the world for hundreds of years will really become a thing of the past. Sakazuki, what are your plans for Marine's future? Fujitora asked. The replica Miller has successfully cleaned the 19th. He is no longer a pirate. He is recognized as a savior. On the contrary, Marine has become a pirate. What is this all about? Green Bull complained. Marine's future. Akainu is very entangled when he hears that. Will he continue to kill the pirates? Of course this is fine, but in what kind of name do you continue to eliminate the pirates? To be honest, Akainu's heart is also very hesitant. Marine might as well take refuge in Miller. Anyway, that guy is no longer a pirate, and the whole world is in his pocket. If Marine joins the New World government, he will not turn it away. Kizaru murmured. If it had been the case before, Akainu would definitely scream out in anger and directly call Kizaru a traitor. Maybe he would wait on him with a magma fist. But at this time, Akainu was silent. The bloody reign of celestial dragons has been exposed. Although Miller is not a good thing, in this comparison, isn't Miller a saint? Fujitora didn't stop it, and Green Bull didn't care about anything. At first, Fujitora also hated Miller a lot. This guy is a troublemaker, and wars are always frequent where he appears. But since Miller established a nascent regime, Fujitora has been very impressive. Exemption from heavenly gold, only 1% to 5% of the fee will be protected, and even the Shichibukai system is abolished. All of Miller's actions made Fujitora feel enjoyable. He also had a lot of affection for the former pirate leader. If Akainu really decides to join Miller, Fujitora will definitely not object. Even Kizaru would not object. As for Green Bull, the attitude is currently unknown. The key problem is that Akainu, after all, he is the martial marine in the true sense. Bluebrew. The phone worm on the desk rang suddenly, and Akainu's mind became more constrained. I'm Sakazuki. Akainu quickly converged his mind, with a loud voice, and the first impression he gave people was energetic. At this most turbulent period in history, Akainu must set an example. You did a great job. A hoarse voice came from the other side, and Akainu lifted his spirits. This voice. Isn't Marijoy's blonde 5 elders? Those damn franchisees have turned to Miller, only Marine is still insisting, doing a beautiful job, Sakazuki. Blonde 5 elders admires Akainu's backbone. None of you old guys died. Akainu was a little surprised. You seem to want us to die, Sakazuki. The blonde 5 elders' voice was displeased. Look at what Marine has fallen into without the support of the government. It's not that the old man wants you to die, but the whole world wants celestial dragons to die. Thanks to your gift, Marine is now a crossing mouse. Akainu's eyes were extremely gloomy. Marines used to be the hope of the people. Now, F*K calls them accomplices. Huh. What do those ordinary folks know? How the world is changing, when is it not a mountain of corpses? The blonde 5 elders is full of disregard for life. When we regain power in the world, we can do another human cleansing and wipe out all the damn traitors. There are 170 member states joining the New World government. Could it be possible to kill them all? Fujitora's voice was suppressed, but he has always been on the side of the people. Why not? Hundreds of millions of people have been slaughtered in the past, and the countries that joined are all turned into dust. The blonde 5 elders said fiercely, all the traitors deserve to die. Don't say that Fujitora is such a good official who cares about the people. Even a cold man like Akainu has a cold back. It doesn't matter if he is vile and insidious in order to defeat the enemy, but in order to defeat the enemy, the whole world must be sacrificed. This is not a typical extinction of humanity. Ends? Celestial dragons call themselves gods. Perhaps they have no humanity in their bones. What are human beings in their eyes? It is not people who die, but animals. There are only a few people left in celestial dragons, right? So far you are still alive, it's better to find a place where no one lives. Kizaru is always lazy at all times. HMPH, it's enough with us. That guy thought Lord Yim was dead, innocent. That lord is recovering, and you have to remember, you must take away Ronaldo at all costs. Send him to Grand Line. The Valley of Gods. The blonde 5 elders speaks amazingly. The Valley of Gods? The Valley of Gods that has disappeared for decades? Akainu and others were stunned. The Valley of Gods is a gathering place of celestial dragons. Later Rock's pirate attacked the Valley of Gods. Since that battle, the Valley of Gods disappeared. Is it out now? Who is not looking for, but who is looking for Luo? What are they doing? Everyone at Marine glanced at each other and couldn't figure out what the blonde five elders planned. That kid is an op fruit-capable person. Immortality surgery has always been the focus of the world government, but at this time, they are still thinking about immortality? Akainu frowned, thinking hard. He also didn't know what the crazy old men could do. What will Marine do? The three admiral looked at Akainu at the same time. This. Akainu was so entangled when he heard that, he didn't know what to do at the moment. How about vote? Akainu said weakly. Third, Admiral is quite depressed. When did Akainu become so democratic? A skeleton-shaped building on the ghost island of Wano-kuni. After the historical text was published in the newspaper, Kaido also paid special attention. Only how celestial dragons persecuted the world before, that guy didn't reveal any clues about ancient weapon. The king threw away the newspaper in his hand. People will naturally favor Miller's new world government even more after they learn about the atrocities of celestial dragons. If things go on like this, he will have the world in his pocket. Isn't it already in hand? All the franchise countries belong to him. Oh. The queen burst into tears at the photo of Xiao Zi. Hold on. Kaido drank depressedly, and he was also waiting for the chance to defeat Miller in one fell swoop. Jin, have you contacted them? Kaido threw the wine jar out after drinking. Rocks? I have tried to communicate with them, but the other party did not reply. King spread his hands. Cut. That old fellow, is it possible that I'm still on guard? Anyway, everyone has been together for a while before. Kaido was very dissatisfied and grumbled. The alliance with the ant failed. Kaido fell in love with other people, the former boss Rock's D. Zebek. As a member of Rock's pirate in the past, Kaido understands the strength of this big brother. In his heyday, he was almost invincible. He needed Garp and Roger to join forces to defeat. Now he has suddenly recovered. There is even Aokiji, the former admiral, as a helper and ambition. The vigorous he will definitely make the world upside down in New World. New World's Cake Island. Well, he really did it. The ant looked at the newspaper. Not only did the newspaper publish the secrets of celestial dragons, but also the first World Summit of the New World Government is about to be held. All the kings of the participating countries will participate, and Redline will usher in a grand event. Wait, boy. Wait for my old lady to become huge, so that you can understand the horror of absolute power. After getting the technology of the Vinsmoke family, the ant has already started experiments. Some members of the Big Mom pirate group have become huge and their strength has skyrocketed. The ant is very happy. Many others failed, most of them died in explosions. The city of gods on the red line. Time flies, and a few days have passed in a blink of an eye. Tomorrow will be the day when Vinsmoke Sanji, the chef of the Straw Hat Pirates, will be executed. The huge execution platform has been set up, and currently Miller is waiting for Luffy in the Straw Hat to come and give the head away. With the help of the New World Government, the news of Sanji's execution is all over the world, and it is impossible for the Straw Hat Pirates to know nothing about the news. Master Miller, the execution rack has been set up, and Vinsmoke Sanji can be executed tomorrow. Khalifa's cold voice sounded from the palace. I see. Anyway, what's going on with Guy? Miller beckoned to Khalifa. She twisted her sexy steps, smiling with a smile. She sat on Miller's lap quite naturally, reporting truthfully. He hasn't closed his eyes for several days, complaining about the workload you gave me too much. What about 500 SSGS? You are not going to exhaust him? Khalifa asked silently. There are not so many SSGS to deal with the Straw Hat Pirates. The secret troops in the City of God can annihilate them. In addition to letting Shiryu and Enel control all the troops, Miller also set up many departments, such as intelligence agencies, which is in charge of Violet. There are also secret service agencies like CP0, with Lucky as the minister, and Khalifa and Kaku are both members. Who told you that it was used to deal with the Straw Hat Pirates? That group of shrimp soldiers and crabs, I alone can deal with them. Miller looked down on the Straw Hat Pirates very much. Up to now, there is not an Admiral-class combat power. The red line is just to die. Then what are you doing? Khalifa asked in surprise. How many pacifists do we currently have? Miller did not answer Khalifa's question. About 1,000. Khalifa thought for a while and said. It's almost enough. Miller murmured. 1,000 pacifists, 500 SSGS, plus the demon fruit power army of nearly 1,000 people. Is it okay to annihilate all the pirates in this world? A cruel killing intent flashed in Miller's eyes. Are you going to take action against the sea pirate? Khalifa was surprised, covering his small mouth. Exactly. On the day World Summit opens, I intend to declare war on pirates all over the world. Miller's words left Khalifa dumbfounded. There are still many powerful pirates in the Great Sea, such as the Blind Pirate Group, and the other 3-4 emperors, Red Hair, Kaido, and the remaining forces of the Revolutionary Army, as well as the remnants of the Whitebeard Pirate Group. In addition, there are scattered Shichibukai, including some criminals who ran out of Impel Down. For example, Bullet and others are still making chaos in the sea. It is impossible to expect Shiryu and Enel to wipe out them without Miller. All in all, no 100,000 people are not enough to watch a war against pirates all over the world. No wonder you have to create so many SSGS and pacifists. Khalifa suddenly realized that Miller was also planning to start a major purge. Don't kill them and keep them for the new year. Remember, Khalifa, although we were pirates before, we must admit that the pirates are a group of gangsters who do evil in the name of freedom. These scums are not qualified to live in the world. Miller's murderous intent was released from his body. He has never attacked the pirates, even if he hasn't gathered enough power on hand, and those franchising countries have not all returned. Seeing that everything was going to happen right now, Miller was going to do it naturally. The next day, as the sun rose, a large number of soldiers ran out and gathered. Their destination is the central square of the City of Gods. Sanji had been imprisoned on the execution platform all night. Today, the Miller pirates did not have many strong players. The strongest Enel and Shiryu were sent out. The next ones are two-tier cadres like Lu Chi, Khalifa, and Nico Robin. There are also some supernovas who originally took refuge in Miller. The main combat power is Miller alone. Luffy, don't do stupid things. Let me die. I don't want to drag everyone down. Sanji was limp on the execution stage, like a dead dog at the moment, unable to fight any energy. Hey, boy, it's not time yet, don't die early. Miller showed up and kicked Sanji's butt drum, and the boy looked back at Miller in disgust. What's the use of staring at me? It clearly gave you a way to survive, so I have to blame anyone for death. Miller curled his lips. He invited Sanji to join the group, but unfortunately this guy refused. You don't need to pray here anymore. My people have received the information. That kid has organized a huge team, and it's all for you. Miller slowly said. Not only Straw Hat Crew, but also some remnants of the Whitebeard pirates, and also the slippery fish of the Revolutionary Army have joined. Miller went up and squeezed Sanji's face. Speaking of which, your kid's face is big enough. He actually got so many people to rescue you. It's a pity. It was all killed in the end. Miller's eyes were gloomy, and many people were mobbed. Moreover, if so many people came at once, Miller planned to sweep away, and the provinces would be destroyed one by one in the future, which was too troublesome. I will trample on Straw Hat Crew in front of you. Miller's face showed a sharp edge. He hasn't really done anything for a while, and today I will use Luffy to loosen his muscles and bones. Sanji's eyes were red. I can't even be a ghost. A ghost can't spare me, right? Can't you change the line? I'm tired of listening. Miller waved his hand, and then appeared to the side. On the northeast side of the plaza of the City of Gods, a podium had been set up in advance, and Miller was sitting leisurely. I don't know how that kid is going to play. Miller looked at the sky, looking forward to it. In the original war on the top, Luffy and his gang fell from the sky. Right now, this is Redline. It is unrealistic to want to fall from the sky. In addition, the entrance of the Red Line was also blocked, and even a large number of gas bombs were buried. In addition to the pirates, there are a large number of pacifists in the square. In addition, there are dozens of SSGS that look exactly the same as the bears. The difference is that each SSG is equipped with the capabilities of the original admiral. The fruit abilities of Aokiji, Akainu and Kizaru, SSG can all play a part. As for the enemy, the strongest person at the moment may be Marco. He is unceremoniously saying that Miller can slap Marco to death with a slap. The reason why he went out in person today was nothing more than trying to abuse Luffy with a nasty anger. This kid relied on his strong identity and background to form a group of pirate alliances, and Miller was really uncomfortable if he didn't beat Luffy. In addition, he has a unique trick to use on Luffy today. Come on, find some beauties for Lousy to come over and dance. There is still about an hour or two before the execution. Miller won't be bored to wait. Now it's being executed publicly. There are still many videophone bugs paying attention to the situation here. Robin is also drunk. At such a nervous moment, you want to see beautiful women? Sure enough, death has not changed at all. Is there any conflict with this? Whoever stipulates punishment, Sanji can't watch beautiful women dancing? Miller slapped Robin's ass violently, and said fiercely, Robin, don't look for it, just do it. You. Robin was almost dizzy when she heard this. She is now a senior official in the New World government. In full view, is it fair to dance for Miller? No, I don't agree to this ridiculous condition. Robin refused decisively, but she also knew how difficult Miller was, and said helplessly, I will go to your place tonight. You can choose any dance. It's almost the same, ha 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 ha, Miller laughed in the huge city of gods. Time passed by, and 2 hours were about to pass. Miller looked at the venomous sun in the sky, full of doubts. Are those guys coming? Miller frowned. He checked the time. There were about 10 minutes left before Sanji was executed. As a result, haven't seen any movement of the Straw Hat Pirates? He now wondered if the kid Luffy really ran away. Go find someone for me right away. Rumble. Before Miller's command was issued, the huge red line trembled without warning. It felt like an earthquake. Master Miller, an enemy has invaded the south side of the red line. Suddenly someone ran over to report. Impossible. Robin immediately denied it. Isn't it a cliff on the south side? The terrain is extremely steep. How can those guys come up? Hearing this, Miller's eyes trembled. This possibility is not without it. There was once a man climbed Marie Joyce with his bare hands and liberated all the slaves. The hero of the Murloc, Fisher Tiger. A graceful figure came out from the crowd. It was Boa Hancock, and she was no longer a pirate. The concubine used to be Marie Joyce's slave. The reason why she can come back alive is because of the great hero. Boa Hancock was full of emotion. She looked at the huge red line, a place that made her despair in the past. Now she can go in and out at will. Even at the moment, I have to do my best to fight to protect the red line. I have to say that fate is really unpredictable, and sometimes even subverts people's cognition. Miller observation hockey spread out. Under the steep broken wall on the south side of the red line, a series of steps connected the sea below, and a steady stream of pirates and revolutionary troops climbed up. This is probably the ability of the Revolutionary Army called Lightning, right? Miller vaguely remembered that when he was on top of the war, Lightning cut the ground and helped Luffy build a path to the execution platform. The remnants of the Whitebeard pirates and the Revolutionary Army are here, so Red Hair pirates didn't come? Miller observation hockey passed by the densely packed pirates and Revolutionary Army, but did not find a soldier of the red-haired pirate regiment. It's weird. It stands to reason that in this situation, the red-haired nosy fellow should help him out. Miller was quite surprised. Redhead had no reason to watch Luffy come to death, not to mention that he had a bad relationship with Redhead. A while ago, Usopp was shot and killed. The guy got shots and his body was smashed. Redhead is a man who values his companions very much, and Miller's actions have long angered him deeply. Brew brew. Suddenly a guard came over with a phone bug, and Miller frowned and asked, "What's the matter?" "Master Miller, the New World franchise has been attacked by red hair pirates," the guard said anxiously. "Huh. Lousy is just preventing them from playing around Wei and saving Zhao." Miller sneered, "Tell Shiryu, rush over to help." "Master Miller." Violet rushed over again. Looking at her expression, she knew nothing was going on. The nation on the Grand Line, the Bahinia Kingdom, was also attacked by Monkey D. Dragon. Damn, this group of dogs has really been discussed. Miller yelled, then pressed his voice and asked, "Where is Enel?" "New World encircles and suppresses the pirates," Violet said. "He is a Thunderfruit-capable person. With his speed, it will not take long to go to the Grand Line and let Enel support him in the past." Miller's face is not so good-looking. He is naturally not terrible in a head-on decisive battle. The most disgusting thing is this multifaceted blossom. Monkey D. Dragon, our grievances will be counted later. Today I will take your son to catch my breath. Miller clenched his fists, and yes, he was angry. As the ruler of the New World government, he understands the discomfort of 5 elders. This group of cockroaches will only hide in Tibet. They will disgust you once when they come out in 10 days and a half. When they send someone to rush over to support them, it won't be possible. Good people have run away. Pay close attention to what's going on with Auntie and Kaido. Miller ordered to Violet. There is also Akainu's blind pirates. They have 3 admirals in Akainu, the captain, which is far more threatening than the 4 emperors. Auntie and Kaido have not been moving for the time being. They have been very calm and guarded during this time, and maybe they were afraid of being dealt with by Master Miller. Violet frowned and said, "It's the situation at Marine that is a bit strange. They have sent a lot of people to the Grand Line, and their intentions are not clear for the time being." "Ask that guy Virgo, isn't he the dark game first left in Marine?" Miller reminded. After the Doflamingo pirates collapsed, Virgo was forced to become Miller's younger brother. "I have asked, but he claims that he doesn't understand it either." Violet tantans his hands. "Huh." The azure flames swept across the sky, and Miller slightly raised his head to see that he was an elegant phoenix. "There are also two people on his back, brothers Luffy and Ace. This Marco is really self-willing and depraved, so the Emperor is improper, so he wants to be a donkey of a pack-man." Miller's mouth was contemptuous. Fire punch. Ace smashed his fist, and a huge flame fist fell from the sky. Miller didn't bother to move, and there was already a figure jumping into the sky. Boa Hancock. Slave arrow. Countless pink arrows rushed into the sky, and the falling flames were pierced with holes. Sanji. Looking at Sanji on the execution bench, Luffy opened his voice and shouted, "I'm here to save you. Get ready to escape this red line with me." Luffy. Sanji burst into tears with excitement. That's why he didn't join Miller. He has his own team, and even if there is danger, his companions will save him at all costs. Miller's face became cold when he saw this, and his big hand turned to the sky to activate Dark Fruit's ability, Dark Water. His slap was covered with dense black mist, and the terrifying gravity burst out. Marco in the skies suddenly lost his sense of balance, just like a falling airplane, hitting the ground. Rumble. The three smashed the buildings in the City of Gods and buried them deeply under the ruins. "I'm so sorry, Marco. I just wanted to drag Luffy off and abuse him, but I didn't do it for a while, and I'm a little rusty in the control of power." Miller spread his hands and said helplessly, "Boom, boom." Two violent auras spewed out one after another, the ruins were crushed to pieces, and countless particles floated in the atmosphere. Both Luffy and Ace exploded with great aura, and a large number of dark red thunder and lightning lingered in the City of God. Under the combination of the two trends, even the sky above the red line was torn apart. This powerful breath pressed heavily on Miller, the ground around him was shattered, and his robe was hunting. Ace. Luffy. The two brothers Marco on the side were very comforted. "You two wastes have mastered Conqueror's Haki." Miller patted the dust on his body and said faintly, "It seems that I haven't worked hard these days." Luffy crushed the ground with one foot. "I have been waiting for today. Open your eyes and show me clearly." Luffy blows a lot of air into his arm, and his body swells quickly. Unlike the previous, third gear, the third gear is mainly to make a certain part of the body huge. The air blown into the body spreads across the limbs, and the proportion is evenly distributed to every corner of the body. Bang bang bang. After filling his body with air, Luffy kept beating like a stretcher. Fourth gear. Miller recognized Luffy's tricks at a glance, and no one would be the same. He seems to have forgotten that Miller is also a rubber fruit-capable person, who copied him. Boom. Luffy's feet expelled a powerful wave of air, and he rose into the sky and flew towards the execution platform. After opening the fourth gear, Luffy has the ability to fly. Shoot. Don't let this guy get close to the execution platform. The guards fired one after another, and the rain of bullets engulfed Luffy. After opening the fourth gear, not only the speed and strength, but the defense has also been improved. Luffy is like a steel balloon, and all the bullets that have been shot bounce off. He was so fast that he drew an afterimage in the sky, and he was about to approach the execution platform. "I can't let you save people so quickly." Miller's arms burst into hot magma. Before he had time to do it, the flames engulfed his whole body. Fire punch. Ace attacked again, and the huge flame fist swallowed it all up. During this period, Luffy flew to the execution platform smoothly, and he quickly untied Sanji. "Luffy, it's useless. I still have a bomb bracelet on my body. I will kaka when I leave here." The chain on Sanji's hand suddenly broke on its own, and he was shocked for a while. This is what Shanks and my father and Rayleigh taught me." Luffy raised his head quite proudly. That's why he made rapid progress. Redhead, Monkey D. Dragon, Pluton Rayleigh, which one is not the strong one? But, a fragrant wind hit. Before Luffy had time to react, he swept over with a heavy kick, Perfume Femur. Bang. A heavy kick hit the door of Luffy's face. Perhaps because of covering armament Haki, his face was not petrified. However, Luffy's right cheek was also swollen, like a pig's head. It hurts, it hurts, it hurts. Luffy screamed, covering half of his face. This woman is merciless, it's almost enough to hand it over to Hancock. Miller, in the Sea of Fire, also found out that Hancock had taken a shot. He was very weird, because of his relationship, the two are now enemies. Then the black light raged all over, like a black hole, engulfing everything in the world. Miller swallowed all the flames around him. This is Teach's dark fruit. Seeing this scene, Ace punched harder. Blackbeard has always been a thorn in his heart. He slapped up, a huge fireball gathered on his head, and then threw it vigorously. Great Yan Jia Yan Di. The oncoming fireball was like the sun, and the buildings in the City of God were burned to charcoal. Miller scratched his cheek. With such a big fireball, he was sweating hot. Boom. Miller flew out with a stride, and the large-handed host slapped the fireball, causing the fireball to vibrate violently. Ace sneered when he saw this. I was blown to pieces. What? Miller's big hand seemed like a bottomless hole, and the fireball was swallowed before it could explode. This doesn't seem to be Dark Fruit's ability. Ace was stunned. He stared at Miller's arm blankly. It was clean and there was no thick black fog that symbolized Dark Fruit. Gula Gugalagu. Miller didn't bother to explain anything. A large amount of magma was condensed on his right arm. He was shocked after seeing EIM using the Devil Fruit tree to absorb all Devil Fruit's power. It was no different from Ace. That is Akainu's lava fruit. Ace cheered up, and observation hockey unfolded in full force. He shouted awe-inspiringly, come on. After the previous top war, Ace learned from the pain and exercised his strength frantically. Now he is no longer the rookie of the past. Current strength. Infinitely close to Admiral. Looking at his seriousness, this kid doesn't think he can defend himself? Miller's face was indescribably weird, and it was necessary to let Ace learn more. The magma continued to erupt, and there was a transparent gas mask covering the entire arm. Ace frowned when he saw this. Daddy's shock fruit? But it's not like that every time Whitebeard uses shock fruit, the atmosphere breaks open. Miller, no matter what Ace was thinking, his fist suddenly slammed out. Ace tensed his nerves in an instant, and his observation hockey locked Miller with all his strength. According to the movement of his fist, he saw through Miller's attack trajectory. Towards the head, Ace moved quickly to the left, but he soon realized something was wrong. The flying magma fist disappeared on the spot. Boom. A fiery magma fist slammed behind him, hitting his head from the front, and Ace sprayed blood on the spot. The magma burst open, and the terrifying heat ignited his whole body. The screams lying on the ground again and again, the voice was heartbreaking. Ace and Marco all looked over in a panic. After that punch, Ace's head was left half. The covering color hockey couldn't stop the burning of magma, and Ace was killed with a punch. Yes, it was a punch. It should be understood that after escaping from the top war, Ace's bounty increased again. During this period of time, he strengthened training on the sea, and the bounty has reached the level of 835 million Baileys. But Miller's punch. Puff. Ace lay on the ground. The magma of his head melted, leaving only half of his eyes, mouth, and nose. Ace didn't die right away. He lay on the ground and gasped, looking at the blue sky. His mind was blank, just like this. He had clearly seen Miller's attack trajectory just now using the color of sight and hearing, but how did the magma fist hit from behind? Ace. Marco descended from the sky, hugged Ace's tragic body, and burst into tears. Why does he have to experience such pain? It used to be Whitebeard, now it is Ace. Go away. Luffy screamed, and a powerful fist temporarily forced Boa Hancock back, and he rushed towards Ace with all his strength. All blame me, all blame me. Sanji also cried and shed tears. If it weren't for being caught, Luffy would not come to save him. Ace was directly knocked off half of his head. It's really because of you, so you should die, Sanji-kun. A light flashed above his head, Miller's cold cheek appeared, and Sanji swept his heavy feet out of anger. Haki entangled and kicked Miller with full of rage. Miller was cold. Click. Before that leg could reach Miller, it was frozen into ice. Miller stretched out his big hand and flicked it lightly, and the ice cubes broke instantly. Of course, Sanji's leg disappeared. This kind of strength is too terrifying. He is beyond the level of Admiral and 4 Emperors, and has stepped into a new field. The pirates who broke into the Red Line were bitterly cold, and their strength was invincible. No wonder Enel and Shiryu are not on the Red Line. Miller is the strongest guard in the world. Sanji. The pain of Ace's headshot has not yet eased, and in the blink of an eye, Sanji has another leg taken away. Lu Chi's eyes were scarlet. Rubber Ape King and Crow Cannon. The shadows of fists in the sky roared, so many people dazzled. However, Miller seemed to be able to predict in advance, and could easily dodge his fist attack every time. Boom boom. There were dozens of holes in the ground, but Miller's figure was not touched at all. Will you run away, coward? Luffy yelled at him out of breath. Miller was like a silky loach, he couldn't catch it with all his strength. After the battle, he was exhausted and panting. Although the fourth gear is powerful, the side effects are also fatal. Luffy will not last long. Observation Haki is more developed, kid. Miller didn't bother to pay attention to him. When he glanced at Sanji again, he could not move because of the loss of a leg, and fell to the ground weakly. Sanji. Reiju was stuck on the side, her eyes were complicated, she really tried her best, but this kid just didn't get the hang of it, and had to fight Miller to the end. Huh. The sonic boom suddenly sounded, and Miller withdrew his sight, and Luffy's fist stretched more than 10 meters to tear the space. Rubber Big Snake Fist. The fist is like a tracking missile, extending infinitely, chasing Miller. Boom. Miller punched Luffy in the front, his body is hard as steel, unscathed. This hand seems to be undesirable. His eyes glowed with dazzling light and were extremely hot. Luffy and Miller looked at each other, both eyes burning. Huh. 2 golden rays suddenly burst out of Miller's eyes, and Luffy was shocked and quickly drew away. Whoosh. A ray of light passed by, and the other followed. Pouch. The rotten meat flew out of the body mixed with blood, and Luffy's shoulder was penetrated by the laser. The light was extremely hot. The wound was scorched on the spot, and his pained teeth grinned. He gritted his teeth, his face turned red, and he screamed ashamed in front of his mortal enemy. He wants to avenge Ace and Sanji. It seems time has come. Miller looked at Sanji again, his eyes getting more brutal. It's time for execution. Gulu Gu Gulu. Miller was covered in lava erupting. He looked at Sanji on the ground and struck out with a punch, Dark Hound. The flying magma fist was entwined with flames, and it was impossible to approach it rashly. Huh. But a black shadow came to kill from other places, and the black knife in his hand pierced out forcefully. Pouch. The magma split directly from the middle, divided into 4, and splashed to the ground. The man holding a black knife and showing his chest appeared. It doesn't seem to be your business, Hawkeye. Miller looked at this man very unhappy. No wonder you have such a good relationship with Red Hair. You have a bird-like temper and like to be nosy. You want to execute my apprentice's crew, so you have to chop you off. Hawkeye's eyes shuddered with chills. Apprentice? Miller hesitated for a moment, and wondered. When did you accept your apprentice? Could it be? Huh? A murderous intent that seemed to come from Shirlock himself. Miller looked up, his eyes were fierce, and a man wearing a green headscarf appeared. Holding a pair of knives, there is also a knife in his mouth. The apprentice Hawkeye said should be him, Zoro, one of the 3 main forces of the Straw Hat Pirates. The 2 knives in Zoro's hands began to rotate, like a big windmill, and Ling Li's sword intent followed. Miller looked weird, but for some reason, he always thought it was like playing acrobatics. With lightning condensed in his palm, Miller said lightly, Sorry, this is not a circus, not for you to perform acrobatics, 30 million volt Thunderbird. The lightning flashed out for an instant, turned into a Thunderbird several meters wide, and went straight up in the wind. Pouch. 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 3 knives penetrated Thunderbird at the same time, slicing it to pieces. But, rumble. The torn thunder and lightning still exploded, and a large fire group appeared in the sky. Zoro. Luffy was frightened. His captain was beaten to a maimed arm. Usopp was dead, and Sanji was also maimed. What if Zoro also had an accident? What else to go out to sea? What to be a pirate? When the flame disappeared, Zoro, who was scorched all over, also fell from the sky. A cruel look appeared on Miller's face, and a flash of light popped out of his fingers. Stop him. Luffy roared, but at this time most of the people had been severely injured. As Hawkeye was about to swing his knife, Miller greeted him. Marco fluttered his wings high, and it hadn't been long before the wind swept over with a scented jade foot. Marco pulled away quickly, his face ugly. Boa Hancock. Pouch. In the end, Zoro was still recruited. The light that shot out was like a sharp weapon of a magic weapon. It pierced through one of Zoro's hands. The wound was quickly ignited, and the entire arm was burned, exactly like Luffy. Boom. Zoro finally fell heavily to the ground. Miller stepped on Zoro's head. No one is here, let's all go together. A quick fight. Lousy will go to see Robin dance. Kill. The enraged Hawkeye waved his long sword, and the sword aura raged away. The huge slash tore the ground, and the splitting void, as if there was nothing incapable of tearing it apart, and carried the eagle eye full of rage to kill. He is a person who is cold outside and warm inside. Zoro is his apprentice. Although he usually ignores answers, he always cares about Zoro and has high hopes in his heart. Right now, this flame of hope seemed to be extinguished by Miller. In the face of Hawkeye's full blow, Miller's palm methodically secreted a bear's palm-like transparent airblock. Big bear shock. The airblock burst open, and everything within a radius of 10 meters disappeared, including Hawkeye's slash. Rumble. There was a loud noise suddenly from the sky. The sword aura was violent, and the eagle eye gripped the hilt of the knife, and it seemed that it had been bounced off. He swung the knife again, but the blade of the knife suddenly shook violently before he swung it out. What's wrong? It's not just the eagle eye, everyone is like this, all the weapons in the metal are out of control. A large number of guns and sticks gathered on top of Miller's head. This is the ability of the magnetic fruit. Copying kids' gains can absorb all metal substances. All the weapons have been taken away, but the eagle eye will not let go. As a swordsman, wouldn't it be ridiculous if the saber is taken away? Get here! Miller screamed, and Hawkeye flew towards him with a knife. Flames erupted from Miller's body, and Hawkeye felt a deadly temperature from far away. I can only give up. In desperation, Hawkeye could only let go of Hideaway. Once close to the sea of fire, it burns into slag in minutes. Ha ha ha. This is the so-called world's #1 swordsman. It is not Oshaming. The weapon was confiscated by Master Miller before he had a few moves. It's like the teacher confiscated a child's toy. Who said no? No matter who you are a child in front of Master Miller. The guards of the City of Gods laughed, and Yinyan's expression was so bad that he felt very shameless. Go to death. Under the control of the magnetic fruit, hundreds of long guns and cannons were controlled, and the surrounding pirates and the Revolutionary Army were ruthlessly fired. Da 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 da. The tongue of the machine gun lasted for dozens of seconds, and the walls in the City of God were full of holes. Some people were even interrupted. For example, the kid Sanji is even worse than Usopp, who was in the top. His body was shattered. I'm fighting with you. Luffy's tears mixed with blood and flew out. Miller sneered and kicked out Zoro, who was grabbing his feet. Boom. Zoro flew up. Luffy hurriedly retracted his fists, and took the initiative to grab Zoro with his big hand. Unexpectedly, Miller's power was too strong, and Luffy was hit by vomiting blood. The two fell to the ground together and screamed. Who else? Miller's arrogant voice resounded through the City of Gods. Let's go together, Grandpa can't wait. Hawkeye picked up a long knife everywhere, slashed it with one hand, and flew out with a massive slash. Miller's backhand was a heavy punch, Dark Hound. Boom. The slash collided with the lava fist, and the air exploded. After a stalemate for 2 or 3 seconds, the huge slash instantly left half of the area. Hawkeye's face collapsed in an instant, and it seemed that he had pierced the magma with a sword just now. Why is it melted alive now? The sky in front of him was suddenly gorgeous, the eagle eye suddenly raised his head, and the magma flew in. He held the knife subconsciously, and the majestic sword intent on it spread out. Click. This low-quality Tatao couldn't bear the horrible eagle-eyed sword energy at all, and the sword body cracked with many gaps. Huh. He slashed hard, and a crescent-shaped slash came out. The saber in his hand has been reduced to dust. Pouch. The slash penetrates the magma, splitting it in two. Hawkeye finally breathed a sigh of relief. If he continues to do this, his great sword tyrant will really be discredited. Failure is shameless, but being crushed like a bug is unjustifiable, and the world will suspect that he, the world's #1 swordsman, is a parallel importer. Buzzing. The space behind the eagle eye suddenly opened the circular door, and an arm poked his head out of it. It seemed that the coming of the crisis seemed to be sensed in the dark, and Yinyan suddenly turned his head. Pouch. The scorching blade tore the skin of the eagle eye, deep into the flesh and blood, and the shocking scar extended from the left face to the abdomen. His original handsome face became extremely hideous in time. Through the ability of the door fruit, Miller unconsciously appeared behind the eagle eye, and used the shining fruit sky from the cloud sword to severely damage him. Because of the laser knife, Hawkeye's wounds are all scorched. His painful eye sockets protruded, and his eyeballs were about to fall out. I wanted to give you a knife in the back. What did you turn around for? Miller asked silently. The sword wound on the back is the shame of the swordsman. Hawkeye said the same thing as Zoro. Yes. Miller, who doesn't appreciate the eagle eye, said coldly in a creepy voice. Then Lousy is going to attack your back. Miller's whole body shone, and he used Sparkling Fruit's ability to teleport behind Hawkeye. Shameless. Hawkeye quickly withdrew. Pouch. His speed was very fast, but it was not as fast as the speed of the shining fruit, and a wound was torn out of his back. A bloody arrow spurted out of Hawkeye's mouth, his face pale as snow. Miller took advantage of the victory and pursued, and the volley kicked Hawkeye's back again. Kick at the speed of light. Rumble. The beam of light exploded on Hawkeye's back, and his internal organs were about to be shattered. After spouting several mouthfuls of old blood, his body fell off the red line like a broken kite. Among the members who broke into the red line this time, Hawkeye is considered the strongest, at least much better than Luffy and Marco. But even if it was as strong as an eagle eye, it was not a tragic ending in the end, and was kicked out of the red line like a dead dog. Not only did he lose the so-called world's strongest black knife he even got a knife and kick in the back. The reputation of the world's largest swordsman has been discredited. The next step is you. Seeing the scattered pirates in this city of gods, Miller's eyes were full of playfulness. That is the look in the eyes of a cat opera mouse. Miller's gaze swept back and forth, and finally fell on Luffy again. He and Zoro supported each other, and they had only 2 arms together, each of which was destroyed. Boom rumble. On the southeast side of the City of Gods, a group of pirates stormed in forcefully. Members of the Revolutionary Army and the Whitebeard Pirates. Luffy, we have come to support. Marco, are you all right? The revolutionary group is led by Sabo, and the remnants of the Whitebeard Pirates are led by Diamond Joz and Foil Vista. Let me just say, you two should add up to more than this number of people, otherwise it's not enough for me to kill. After seeing these people, Miller chuckled and just took it out of the pot. Sorry, they broke in, they attacked fiercely. Kaku and Lu Chi stepped forward to Miller. Both of them were deeply injured, especially Lu Chi, who had a hole in his chest. Lu Chi, how did your little do it? Sabo and Joz are not so fierce, are they? Miller asked in a low voice. The wound was so close to the heart that he was almost killed. Cough cough cough. Lu Chi wanted to speak, but he coughed up a few mouthfuls of blood and his face became paler. It's better for me. You rest for a while, Lucky. Kaku put Lu Chi underground and explained. Just now we successfully dragged these guys and even had the upper hand, but with a fight, suddenly an inexplicable guy came out and attacked Luffy and Hawking. They were killed. Red hair or dragon? Miller observation. Haki disperses, locking the entire red line. Lu Chi is not the previous Lu Chi, only Admiral level or 4 Emperors level strength can kill Lu Chi.